The House of Many Faces. In the heart of a vast African savanna, where the sun kisses the earth with its golden rays and the nights are alive with the sounds of crickets, there was a village called Abakpa. Abakpa was known far and wide for its rich man, Chief Ogbuefi Okonkwo, who was not only wealthy in material possessions, but also in family. He was married to 100 wives and had over 200 children and 300 grandchildren. His compound was a sprawling estate, a labyrinth of huts and courtyards, where life buzzed with both harmony and chaos. This is the story of the Okonkwo family, of its joys and sorrows, its celebrations and tragedies, its triumphs and downfalls. It is a story of how the sins of the father echoed through generations, and how, despite the turmoil, some rose above their circumstances to carve their own paths in the world. In the days when the earth was still young and the winds whispered secrets to those who listened, Chief Ogbuefi Okonkwo was the most respected man in Abakpa. He was a man of great stature, with broad shoulders, and a voice that could command the attention of an entire village. His wealth was immeasurable. His barns overflowed with yams. His herds of cattle roamed the vast plains, and his compound was a fortress of mud walls and thatched roofs. But what truly set Ogbuefi apart was his family. He had taken 100 wives, each one more beautiful than the last, and from these unions he had sired over 200 children. His household was a place of constant activity, women grinding millet, children chasing chickens, and elders telling tales under the baobab tree. It was said that if you stood in the center of Ogbuefi's compound, you could hear the laughter of children from every corner, like the sound of a river rushing through the valley. Despite the size of his family, Ogbuefi ruled his household with an iron fist. He was a man of tradition, and his word was law. But even in this house of many faces, there were cracks in the foundation. As the saying goes, a man who has too many mouths to feed may find that some of them bite. In the early days, the Okonkwo compound was a place of harmony. The wives respected each other, and the children played together like brothers and sisters should. But as the family grew, so did the tensions. Jealousy began to rear its ugly head, and soon the wives were no longer content to share their husband's love. Whispered words of envy spread like wildfire, and the once united household began to fracture. It was during one of the many celebrations that the first sign of trouble became evident. The family was gathered for the harvest festival, a time of great joy and thanksgiving. The drums beat a rhythm that made even the elders tap their feet, and the air was thick with the smell of roasted meat. But beneath the surface of this joyous occasion, a storm was brewing. As the children danced around the fire, Ogbuefi's eldest son, Udo, noticed that his half-brother, Chik, was paying too much attention to his sister, Ada. Udo's heart burned with anger, for it was known that in their culture, such a relationship was an abomination. But Chik, blinded by his affection, saw nothing wrong with it. Udo confronted Chike, but the younger man laughed it off, saying, "The moon does not shy away from the sun, so why should I hide my feelings?" This only fueled Udo's rage, and before anyone could stop him, he struck Chik across the face. The festival came to an abrupt halt, and the joy of the day was replaced with tension that would linger for years to come. In the midst of the growing discord, there was one person who held the family together: Grandmother Nena, Ogbuefi's mother. She was a woman of great wisdom, her hair as white as the cotton that grew in the fields, and her eyes as sharp as a hawk's. Every evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Nena would gather the children around her and tell them stories. Stories of old, of animals that talked, of spirits that danced in the moonlight, and of heroes who overcame great odds. One of her favorite stories was about the cunning tortoise, who, despite his small size, outwitted the mighty elephant to win the hand of the most beautiful maiden in the land. She would say, "My children, it is not the size of the man that matters, but the size of his wisdom. Remember, the tortoise may be slow, but he always reaches his destination." The children listened with rapt attention, their fears and worries momentarily forgotten. For in Grandmother Nena's stories, they found not only entertainment, but also lessons that would guide them through the trials of life. As the years passed, the tension within the Okonkwo family only grew. The incident between Udo and Chiki was the first of many, and soon, the family was plagued by a series of misfortunes. Crops failed, cattle died, and sickness spread through the compound. The elders whispered that it was the wrath of the gods, angered by the abominations within the family, brothers marrying sisters, children born of forbidden unions. Chief Ogbuefi, who had once been so proud of his large family, now found himself at a loss. He sought the counsel of the village priest, who confirmed his worst fears. "The sins of the father have indeed visited upon the children," the priest said, "but all is not lost. The gods are merciful if you are willing to atone." Determined to save his family, Ogbuefi ordered a great sacrifice, a feast for the entire village, with offerings to the gods to cleanse his household of its sins. But the damage had already been done. The cracks in the family's foundation had widened, and it would take more than a feast to mend them. Despite the chaos and turmoil that surrounded them, not all of Ogbuefi's children succumbed to the darkness. There were those who, like the tortoise in Grandmother Nena's stories, used their wits and determination to carve out better lives for themselves. One such child was Nkame, the youngest daughter of Ogbuefi's 50th wife. Nkame was a quiet, studious girl who spent most of her time with her grandmother, learning not only the stories of old, but also the wisdom that came with them. She was determined to go to school, despite the obstacles in her way. "A bird that flies off the earth and lands on an anthill is still on the ground," she would say, reminding herself that no matter how difficult her journey, she would persevere. Nkame's hard work paid off, and she became the first in her family to attend university. She studied business, and upon graduation, returned to Abakpa to start her own company. She became a successful entrepreneur, employing many of her relatives and bringing prosperity to her family. But even as Nkame thrived, the shadow of her father's choices loomed large. Some of her siblings were not so fortunate. The consequences of the forbidden unions led to tragedies. Children born with deformities, others who never found peace. Yet, in the midst of it all, there was still joy to be found in the simple moments: the laughter of children, the warmth of a family meal, the songs sung by the fire. In Abakpa, life was a dance of joy and sorrow, of birth and death, of laughter and tears. The Okonkwo family, with all its flaws and virtues, embodied this dance. They celebrated life with vigor, dancing at weddings, singing at funerals, and praising the gods in church on Sundays. The compound was often filled with the sound of drums and the sight of colorful attire as the family came together for one celebration or another. Cousins visited from neighboring villages, bringing with them tales of the wider world, and the family would gather around the fire to listen, their hearts swelling with pride for those who had ventured beyond the confines of Abakpa. But even in these moments of joy, there was always an undercurrent of tension, a reminder that the dance of life was not always a smooth one. Yet, as the elders would say, the moon moves slowly, but it crosses the town. And so the Okonkwo family continued to move forward, one step at a time, through the rhythms of life. As time passed, the winds of change began to blow through the village of Abakpa. The white man had arrived, bringing with him new ways of thinking, new religions, and new opportunities. The missionaries set up schools, and for the first time, the children of Abakpa were given the chance to learn how to read and write. For many in the Okonkwo family, this was a double-edged sword. While some saw it as a path to a better future, others feared it would lead their children away from the traditions that had sustained their people for generations. Chief Ogbuefi himself was torn. He knew that knowledge was power, but he also knew that the ways of the white man could erode the foundations of their culture. In the end, it was the younger generation that made the choice. Uchenna, one of Ogbuefi's grandsons, was the first to attend the missionary school. He was a bright, curious boy, always asking questions, always seeking to understand the world around him. The elders warned him that too much curiosity could lead to trouble, but Uchenna was undeterred. "The eye that looks around does not see its own eyelashes," he would say, reminding them that understanding the wider world would not make him forget his roots. And so, Uchenna excelled in school, mastering not only the teachings of the missionaries, but also the traditional wisdom of his people. He became a bridge between the old and the new, respected by both his elders and the white men who came to Abakpa. But Uchenna's success was not without its challenges. The more he learned, the more he began to question the old ways, and this brought him into conflict with his father, Chukwuma. Chukwuma believed that the white man's ways were a threat to their identity, and he feared that Uchenna would be lost to them forever. This tension created a rift in the family, one that would take years to heal. As the family grew wealthier, another threat began to rear its head: greed. With so many mouths to feed and so many hands reaching for a share of the wealth, it was inevitable that some would try to take more than their fair share. The Okonkwo family, once united in their quest for prosperity, began to fracture under the weight of their own success. It was the wives who first noticed the change. They had once shared everything: food, clothing, even the love of their husband. But now they found themselves competing for the best portions, the finest fabrics, the most attention. Petty squabbles turned into full-blown arguments, and soon the compound was divided into factions, each wife looking out only for her own children. Chief Agbufi, who had once been able to keep order with a single word, found himself powerless to stop the fighting. The wealth that had once been a blessing had become a curse, turning brother against brother, mother against mother. The elders tried to intervene, but their words fell on deaf ears. As the saying goes, when the eyes are blind, the whole head is blind, and the Okonkwo family was blinded by their own greed. But there were still those who remembered the old ways, who understood that wealth was not just about money, but about the strength of the family. One such person was Amaka, the daughter of Agbefi's 80th wife. Amaka had always been different from her siblings: quiet, thoughtful, and deeply spiritual. She spent her days in the forest, communing with the spirits of the land, and her nights in prayer, asking the gods to guide her family back to the right path. Amaka's prayers were answered in an unexpected way. During one of the many celebrations that filled the Okonkwo compound, a fire broke out. The flames spread quickly, consuming the wealth that had caused so much division. The family was forced to come together to put out the fire, and in doing so, they were reminded of what truly mattered. Despite the efforts of the elders and the wisdom of grandmother Nnamdi, the curse of forbidden love continued to haunt the Okonkwo family. Brothers married sisters, cousins fell in love, and the consequences of these unions were felt for generations. The gods were not pleased, and their wrath was terrible. One of the most tragic cases was that of Chidibere and Nnaka, twin siblings who had been inseparable since birth. They had grown up together, played together, and shared everything. But as they reached adulthood, their bond took on a dangerous new dimension. They fell in love, and though they knew it was wrong, they could not resist the pull of their feelings. When their relationship was discovered, the village was thrown into turmoil. The elders convened a council to decide their fate, and it was decreed that they must be separated. Chidibere was sent to a distant village, while Nneka was married off to an older man who already had 3 wives. The separation was devastating for both of them. Chidibere became a shadow of his former self, haunted by the love he had lost and the guilt of what he had done. Nneka too suffered, her spirit broken by the forced marriage. She bore her husband's children, but her heart was never in it, and she died young, her life cut short by sorrow. The story of Chidiebere and Nneka became a cautionary tale, told by the elders to warn the younger generation of the dangers of forbidden love. "The river that forgets its source will dry up," they would say, reminding the children that there are some lines that must never be crossed, no matter how strong the feelings. Amidst all the challenges and tragedies, the Okonkwo family still found reasons to celebrate. Life, after all, is a mixture of joy and sorrow, and the Okonkwo family knew how to dance to both tunes. Weddings were grand affairs, with the whole village invited to join in the festivities. The women dressed in their finest wrappers, their bodies adorned with beads and cowrie shells, while the men wore agbadas that billowed in the wind. Drums pounded through the night, and the air was filled with the sounds of ululations and laughter. The elders would take their places of honor, blessing the young couples and offering them words of wisdom. A man who carries an elephant on his head should not be troubled by the weight of his tail, they would say, urging the newlyweds to focus on the big picture and not get bogged down by small problems. But it wasn't just weddings that brought the family together. Funerals, too, were a time of unity and reflection. The death of a family member was always a solemn occasion, but it was also a celebration of the life they had lived. The Okonkwo family would gather around the grave, pouring libations and singing songs of remembrance. The cow that has no tail has the gods to drive away flies, they would say, reminding themselves that even in death, their loved ones were not alone. The family also celebrated the achievements of those who had risen above their circumstances. When Nnamdi graduated from university, the whole village turned out to honor her. She was given the title of Ada Ugo, the pride of her people, and her success became a beacon of hope for others. Through all the ups and downs, the Okonkwo family remained a tapestry of life, vibrant, colorful, and always evolving. They knew that life was not perfect, but they also knew that it was worth celebrating, and so they continued to dance, sing, and tell stories, passing on the wisdom of the elders to the next generation. With such a vast family, visits from cousins, uncles, and distant relatives were common, and each visit brought its own kind of excitement and sometimes chaos. One particularly memorable visit was when the cousins from Umuike, a nearby village, came to stay for a week. These cousins were known for their mischievous ways, and the Okonkwo compound was soon filled with pranks, laughter, and a bit of disorder. The children were thrilled to have their cousins around. The days were filled with games of hide and seek, races around the compound, and impromptu wrestling matches. But with so many children running around, it wasn't long before things got out of hand. One day, during a game, one of the younger cousins accidentally knocked over a pot of soup that had been carefully prepared for the evening meal. The women, who had spent hours cooking, were furious, but Mama Nkechi quickly diffused the situation. When a child stumbles, it is the mother's duty to lift them up, not to scold them for falling, she said, calming everyone down. The older children were tasked with helping to prepare a new meal, and the incident became just another story to tell around the fire. Despite the mishaps, the visit was a time of joy. The cousins shared stories of their village, bringing news and tales that were new to the Okonkwo children. They spoke of their adventures, of the animals they had seen, and the festivals they had attended. It was a reminder that, no matter the distance, family ties remained strong. Love, though beautiful, can also be dangerous, especially when it defies the rules of the land. Such was the case with Chika and Emeka, two grandchildren of Chief Ogbuefi, who fell deeply in love with each other. The problem was that they were first cousins, and in Abakpa, such a union was strictly forbidden. The elders had long warned of the dangers of marrying within the family, but the young lovers refused to listen. Their love was a secret affair, hidden from the prying eyes of their parents and the elders. But secrets, like the sun, cannot stay hidden forever. One fateful day, their love was discovered when a younger sibling, unaware of the gravity of the situation, innocently mentioned it to Mama Nkechi. The family was thrown into turmoil. The elders were outraged, declaring that the union was an abomination that would bring misfortune upon the entire family. Chika and Emeka were heartbroken, but they understood the severity of their actions. They were separated, and both were sent away to live with relatives in different villages. The separation was painful, but it was a necessary lesson. The family knew that they had to adhere to the customs that had kept them strong for generations. The elders performed rituals to cleanse the family of any ill fortune, and they warned the younger generation about the importance of respecting tradition. A bird that chooses to fly against the wind will find itself lost in the storm, they said, reinforcing the lesson that love must also honor the rules of the land. Life in Abakpa was not just about the human dramas that unfolded within the family compound. The surrounding wilderness also played a significant role in the lives of the villagers. One of the most revered figures in the village was Ogbuefi Anayo, a legendary hunter known for his courage and skill. He was the protector of the village, the one who ventured into the deep forests to hunt the wild animals that threatened their livestock and crops. The children of the Okonkwo family were fascinated by Ogbuefi Anayo. They would gather around him whenever he visited the compound, begging him to tell them stories of his adventures in the wild. Ogbuefi Anayo, with his grizzled beard and piercing eyes, would sit by the fire and weave tales that left the children wide-eyed with wonder. He spoke of the time he faced a lion that had been terrorizing the village, tracking it for days until he finally confronted it in the dead of night. A lion's roar may frighten the forest, but it is the hunter's courage that conquers the beast, he would say, his voice filled with pride. The children listened in awe, imagining the thrill of the hunt and the bravery it required. But Ogbuefi Anayo's stories were not just about glory. They also carried important lessons. He warned the children about the dangers of the forest, telling them that the wild was not to be underestimated. The leopard does not change its spots, and neither does the forest its dangers, he would say, reminding them that respect for nature was crucial to their survival. The nights in the Okonkwo compound were often filled with the soft, soothing voice of Mama Nkechi, who would gather the children around her to tell them stories before bed. These stories were not just for entertainment. They were a way to pass down the wisdom and traditions of their people, to teach the younger generation about life, morality, and the world around them. One of her favorite stories was about the tortoise and the hare. In her version, the tortoise was not just slow, but also wise, while the hare was fast but reckless. The story went that the hare, confident in his speed, challenged the tortoise to a race. The hare, sure of his victory, became arrogant and decided to take a nap during the race, while the tortoise kept on steadily. When the hare finally awoke, he found that the tortoise had already crossed the finish line. The slow and steady path may not be glamorous, but it is often the surest way to success, Mama Nkechi would conclude, her voice filled with the gentle authority that came from years of experience. The children, their eyes heavy with sleep, would nod, absorbing the lesson that patience and perseverance were virtues to be valued. Mama Nkechi's stories were a treasure trove of knowledge. She spoke of the cunning of the fox, the strength of the elephant, and the cleverness of the monkey. But her stories also touched on the human world, teaching the children about kindness, honesty, and the importance of community. Each story was a thread in the rich tapestry of their heritage, connecting the past with the present and guiding them into the future. As the years passed, the Okonkwo family's wealth continued to grow. They owned vast tracts of land, numerous herds of cattle, and their compound was one of the largest in the village. But with wealth came a new set of challenges. The family began to experience the burden of prosperity as greed and envy started to seep into their once harmonious household. Some of the younger members of the family, born into this wealth, began to take it for granted. They became careless, squandering resources and neglecting their responsibilities. The elders noticed this change and grew concerned. When the yam harvest is abundant, the wise man stores for the dry season, they would say, trying to instill a sense of responsibility in the younger generation. The tension over wealth reached a peak when two cousins, both grandsons of Chief Ogbuefi, quarreled over the ownership of a piece of land. The argument quickly escalated, threatening to divide the family. Ukena, now the head of the family, stepped in to mediate. He reminded them that wealth, if not managed wisely, could become a curse rather than a blessing. The goat that grows fat on stolen yams will eventually be caught by the owner, he warned, urging them to resolve their differences peacefully. The dispute was eventually settled, but the incident served as a wake-up call. The family realized that they needed to be more vigilant in how they managed their wealth, ensuring that it was used for the benefit of all, not just a few. Marriage in the Okonkwo family was a grand affair, filled with celebration, dancing, and feasting. But as with all things in life, marriage also brought its share of challenges. The family witnessed both the joys and sorrows that came with joining two lives together. One of the most joyous marriages was that of Adobe, one of the granddaughters of Chief Ogbuefi, to a young man from a neighboring village. Their wedding was the talk of the town, with people coming from far and wide to attend. The women of the family prepared lavish dishes, and the men organized a grand procession. Adaobi, adorned in the finest traditional attire, looked radiant, and the celebration lasted for days. However, not all marriages in the family were as joyful. There were also stories of unions that brought pain and heartache. One such marriage was that of Neka, another granddaughter, who married a man who turned out to be cruel and unfaithful. Neka endured years of suffering before finally finding the courage to leave him, returning to her family for support. The elders would often gather the young women of the family and counsel them on the importance of choosing a good partner. Marriage is like a pot of soup. You must be careful about the ingredients you put in, they would say. They reminded the young women that while love was important, so were respect, kindness, and shared values. Through these experiences, the Okonkwo family learned that marriage was both a blessing and a challenge. It required patience, understanding, and a strong foundation of mutual respect. But when done right, it brought immense joy, uniting not just two people, but two families. In the cycle of life, every joy is matched by sorrow, and in a family as large as the Okonkwo clan, death was a familiar visitor. The passing of a family member was always a profound event, filled with both mourning and celebration of the life that had been lived. The burials were grand, reflecting the status and wealth of the Okonkwo family, but also the deep connections that bound them together. One of the most significant burials was that of Mama Nkechi. The matriarch had lived a long and full life, guiding the family with wisdom and grace. When she passed away peacefully in her sleep, the entire village mourned. People came from far and wide to pay their respects, and the Okonkwo compound was filled with mourners. The burial ceremony lasted for several days, with traditional rites performed by the elders. The women of the family, dressed in mourning cloth, wailed and sang dirges, their voices carrying the sorrow of their loss. The men dug the grave near the family's ancestral tree, a spot reserved for the most revered members of the family. As they lowered Mama Nkechi into the ground, Uchenna, now the family head, spoke of her legacy. A tree that falls in the forest leaves a space that cannot be filled, but its roots remain, nourishing the earth, he said, his voice heavy with emotion. Mama Nkechi had been the foundation of the family, and her loss was deeply felt. But her wisdom and teachings would continue to guide them, like the roots of a great tree. After the burial, the family gathered to share stories of Mama Nkechi, remembering her with both tears and laughter. It was a time of reflection, a reminder that while death was inevitable, the love and lessons shared lived on. Despite the sorrows that came with loss, the Okonkwo family knew how to celebrate life. Births, weddings, and other joyous occasions were marked with vibrant festivities, where the entire village would come together to dance, sing, and feast. These celebrations were a testament to the resilience and joy that defined the family. One of the most memorable celebrations was the birth of a new set of twins to Amaka, the spiritual daughter of Mama Nkechi. The twins, Chinyere and Chibuke, were seen as a blessing, a continuation of the new beginning that the first set of twins had symbolized. Their birth was a cause for great celebration, and the family spared no expense in marking the occasion. The women prepared elaborate meals, with steaming pots of jollof rice, pounded yam, and egusi soup. The men brewed palm wine, and the children helped decorate the compound with colorful fabrics and flowers. As night fell, the village gathered to celebrate, with music, dancing, and storytelling. Drummers beat out rhythmic patterns, and the villagers danced under the stars, their movements filled with joy and energy. The air was filled with the sound of laughter and song, as the family celebrated not just the birth of the twins, but the continuity of life and the strength of their family bonds. As the celebration continued into the early hours of the morning, the elders told stories of the ancestors, linking the past with the present. They spoke of the importance of family, of staying united in the face of challenges, and of the joy that came from shared experiences. A single broomstick can be broken, but a bundle is strong. They reminded everyone, reinforcing the value of togetherness. As the years passed, the Okonkwo family continued to prosper, but the shadow of their father, Chief Ogbuefi, still lingered over them. His many wives and children had created a legacy of complexity, and not all of his actions had been honorable. Some of his children and grandchildren struggled with the consequences of his choices, as the sins of the father seemed to follow them. One of Chief Ogbuefi's sons, Eken, had inherited not only his father's wealth, but also his penchant for excess. Ekene was known for his lavish lifestyle, his love of drink, and his disregard for the traditions that had kept the family strong. His behavior caused friction within the family, and many whispered that he was cursed, bearing the burden of his father's sins. Ekene's downfall came when he lost a large portion of the family's wealth in a failed business venture. His reckless investments, fueled by greed and arrogance, left the family reeling. The elders, who had always warned against the dangers of unchecked ambition, saw this as a manifestation of the curse that had followed Chief Ogbuefi's lineage. In the aftermath, Ekene was deeply ashamed. He realized too late that he had been living in the shadow of his father, repeating the same mistakes. Seeking redemption, he turned to Uchenna for guidance. Uchenna, though disappointed, saw an opportunity for Ekene to learn and grow. To carry the burden of your father's sins is a heavy load, but it is not one that you must bear alone, Uchenna told him. He urged Ekene to make amends, to rebuild the family's wealth through honest means, and to live a life of humility and respect for the traditions that had been neglected. Ekene took Uchenna's advice to heart. He renounced his reckless ways and began working diligently to restore what had been lost. It was a long and difficult journey, but through hard work and the support of his family, Ekene slowly regained their trust. The experience humbled him, teaching him that true wealth came not from material possessions, but from the strength and unity of the family. Education had always been valued in the Okonkwo family, but it was not always easy to attain. The journey to education was fraught with challenges, especially for those who came from a background rooted in tradition. However, for those who managed to beat the odds, education became a powerful tool for change and progress. One such success story was that of Ngozi, one of the granddaughters of Chief Ogbuefi. From a young age, Ngozi had shown a keen interest in learning. She was curious, intelligent, and determined to make something of herself. Despite the obstacles, such as financial difficulties and the belief that a woman's place was in the home, Ngozi persevered. With the support of her mother and a few forward-thinking elders, Ngozi was able to attend school. She excelled in her studies, eventually earning a scholarship to study abroad. Her success was a source of great pride for the family, and she became a role model for the younger generation. Ngozi's achievements opened new doors for the family. She returned to the village with a wealth of knowledge and skills, using her education to improve the lives of her people. She established a school in the village, ensuring that future generations would have the opportunity to learn and grow. The bird that dares to leave the nest returns with the knowledge of the world, the elders would say, praising Ngozi for her courage and determination. Her story was a testament to the power of education and the importance of breaking down barriers to achieve one's dreams. Despite the challenges and dramas that came with being part of such a large family, there was also immense joy in the sheer number of people who shared in each other's lives. The Okonkwo family gatherings were legendary, filled with laughter, stories, and the warmth that came from being surrounded by so many loved ones. Every year, the family held a grand reunion, where members from near and far would return to the village to reconnect. The reunion was a time to catch up, to celebrate new achievements, and to reminisce about the past. The compound would be filled with the sound of children playing, women cooking, and men discussing important matters. The highlight of the reunion was always the family dance. Everyone, from the youngest child to the oldest elder, would join in, moving to the rhythm of the drums. The dance was a symbol of unity, a way to celebrate the strength and resilience of the family. As they moved together, their feet pounding the earth in unison, they felt a deep connection to their ancestors and to each other. The joy of a big family was also evident in the support they provided one another. In times of need, there was always someone to lend a hand, to offer advice, or to simply listen. The Okonkwo family knew that, despite their differences, they were stronger together. A tree with many branches stands tall in the storm, the elders would say, reminding everyone that their strength lay in their unity. The joy of a big family was not just in the numbers, but in the love, support, and shared experiences that made life richer and more meaningful. As time went on, the family began to notice that a particular piece of land, once fertile and prosperous, had turned barren. Crops that were planted there refused to grow, and even the animals avoided grazing on it. The land, once a source of pride and sustenance, had become a symbol of misfortune. The elders, concerned by this turn of events, decided to consult the village oracle. The oracle, an ancient and wise woman known as Nena, was said to have the power to communicate with the spirits and uncover hidden truths. The family gathered at her shrine, seeking answers. After days of rituals and consultations with the spirits, Nena revealed the cause of the curse. The land had once been the site of a grave, a resting place for an ancestor who had been wronged. Chief Agbefi, in his quest for wealth, had ignored the sacredness of the land, building over it without performing the necessary rites to appease the spirits. "The earth remembers the blood that has been spilled upon it," Nena said, her voice grave. "Until the wrongs of the past are righted, the land will remain barren." The family was shocked by the revelation, realizing that their prosperity had come at a great cost. The curse was a reminder that the sins of the past could not be ignored, and that the spirits of the ancestors demanded respect. To lift the curse, the family had to perform a series of rituals to honor the ancestor whose grave had been disturbed. They offered sacrifices, held a cleansing ceremony, and rebuilt the grave with care and reverence. The process was long and arduous, but the family was determined to make amends. In the end, the land began to heal. Crops started to grow again, and the animals returned. The family had learned a valuable lesson about the importance of respecting the past and the land that sustained them. "A tree cannot grow without roots," the elders would say, reminding everyone that their future depended on honoring their ancestors and the earth that nourished them. One evening, as the family gathered around the fire, one of the grandmothers, Mama Amara, decided to tell a story that had been passed down through generations. It was the tale of the clever monkey, a story rich with lessons about wit, cunning, and the importance of using one's intelligence to navigate the challenges of life. The story began with a monkey who lived in a large forest, teeming with all kinds of animals. The monkey, small and agile, was not as strong as the lion, nor as fast as the cheetah, but he was the cleverest of them all. One day, a famine struck the land, and food became scarce. The animals, desperate and hungry, began to fight over the little food that was left. The lion, as king of the jungle, decided that he would claim all the food for himself. He declared that any animal caught stealing from his stash would be punished severely. The other animals, fearing the lion's wrath, obeyed. But the clever monkey had other ideas. The monkey knew that if he wanted to survive, he would have to outsmart the lion. He carefully observed the lion's habits, noticing that the lion always napped in the afternoon after eating. So, the monkey devised a plan. While the lion slept, the monkey would sneak into the stash, taking just enough food to survive, but not enough to be noticed. Day after day, the monkey took his share, always careful to cover his tracks. The lion, oblivious, never noticed that the food was dwindling. The other animals, amazed by the monkey's daring, asked him how he managed to avoid getting caught. "A wise hunter does not follow the lion's path, but finds his own way through the forest," the monkey replied. his eyes twinkling with mischief. The story of the clever monkey taught the children the value of intelligence and caution. Mama Amara ended the tale with a proverb: "The monkey that knows when to leap will never fall into the hunter's trap." The children, captivated by the story, nodded in agreement, understanding that sometimes it was not the strongest who survived, but the smartest. Pride, when left unchecked, can be a destructive force, as the Okonkwo family would soon learn through the story of Chinonso, a young man whose pride led to his downfall. Chinonso, a grandson of Chief Ogbuefi, was known throughout the village for his intelligence and charisma. He was handsome, well-spoken, and admired by many. However, his success and the admiration he received began to inflate his ego, making him believe he was invincible. Chinonso's downfall began when he entered into a business venture with a neighboring village. Confident in his abilities, he refused to listen to the advice of the elders, who warned him to proceed with caution. "A man who climbs a tree too quickly will fall and break his leg," they said, but Chinonso dismissed their warnings, believing that he knew better. The venture at first seemed to be a success. Chinonso's profits grew, and his reputation as a shrewd businessman spread. However, he soon became careless, making risky decisions and cutting corners to maximize his gains. He ignored the signs that trouble was brewing, convinced that his success would continue indefinitely. But pride, as the elders often said, comes before a fall. The neighboring village, seeing Chinonso's arrogance, decided to take advantage of his overconfidence. They manipulated the terms of the agreement, and before long, Chinonso found himself in a trap of his own making. The business venture collapsed, and Chinonso lost everything he had worked for. Humiliated and broken, Chinonso returned to his family, seeking forgiveness and guidance. The elders, though disappointed, welcomed him back with open arms. They knew that Chinonso had learned a hard lesson, one that would stay with him for the rest of his life. "The tallest tree in the forest is the first to be struck by lightning," Uchenna said, as he consoled Chinonso. But from the ashes of pride, a new humility can grow. Chinonso, humbled by his experience, began to rebuild his life, this time with the wisdom of the elders to guide him. He learned to listen, to value the counsel of others, and to recognize that true strength came from humility, not arrogance. His story became a cautionary tale for the younger generation, a reminder that pride could lead to ruin if not tempered with wisdom. In the village of Abakpa, the Dance of the Spirits was one of the most sacred and anticipated events of the year. It was a time when the veil between the living and the spirit world was believed to be thin, allowing the ancestors to visit their descendants. The dance was both a celebration and a ritual, honoring the spirits and seeking their blessings for the year to come. The Okonkwo family, being one of the most prominent in the village, played a central role in the preparations. The women spent days weaving intricate costumes from palm fronds and colorful fabrics, while the men carved masks representing the various spirits of their ancestors. The children, excited by the prospect of seeing the spirits, practiced their dances and songs, eager to participate in the ceremony. On the night of the Dance of the Spirits, the village gathered in the central square, lit by the flickering light of oil lamps and the glow of the full moon. The drummers began to play, their beats resonating through the night, calling the spirits to join the living. The dancers, wearing their masks and costumes, moved gracefully to the rhythm, their bodies swaying in time with the drums. As the dance continued, the atmosphere grew charged with energy. The villagers believed that the spirits had indeed come to join them, guiding the dancers' movements and blessing the gathering. The elders, watching from the sidelines, chanted prayers and offered libations, ensuring that the spirits were honored and appeased. For the children of the Okonkwo family, the Dance of the Spirits was a magical experience. They felt the presence of their ancestors, the warmth of their blessings, and the joy of being part of something much larger than themselves. The dance was a reminder that the past was always with them, that the spirits of their ancestors watched over them and guided their steps. As the night wore on, the dance slowed, and the villagers began to disperse, returning to their homes with hearts full of gratitude and a renewed sense of connection to their roots. The dance of the spirits had once again reinforced the bond between the living and the dead, between the past and the present, and between the Okonkwo family and their rich heritage. As the Okonkwo family grew, so too did the complexities of their relationships. With so many wives, children, and grandchildren, it became increasingly difficult to keep track of the intricate web of connections within the family. This complexity led to a tragedy that would haunt the family for generations: the curse of forbidden love. Among Chief Ogbifi's many children were two who shared a bond that went beyond mere sibling affection. Kioma and Chik, though half-siblings, were inseparable from a young age. They played together, confided in each other, and as they grew older, their bond deepened into something more. The elders had always warned that love between siblings was forbidden, an abomination that could bring ruin upon the family. The river does not drink its own water, and the tree does not eat its own fruit, they would say, emphasizing the natural order of things. But Chioma and Chiki, blinded by their love, ignored the warnings. When their relationship was discovered, the family was thrown into turmoil. The elders were furious, declaring that the spirits of the ancestors would curse the family for this abomination. Kioma and Chik, ashamed and afraid, were forced to leave the village to avoid further dishonoring their family. Their departure was a dark chapter in the Okonkwo family's history, a reminder of the dangers of forbidden love. The family performed rituals to cleanse themselves of the curse, but the shadow of Kioma and Chiki's actions lingered. For years, the family faced misfortunes, failed crops, illness, and accidents that they believed were the result of the curse. It wasn't until the birth of a new generation, free from the sins of the past, that the family began to heal. The elders taught the younger ones the importance of respecting tradition and the natural order, reminding them of the consequences of going against the will of the ancestors. The story of Kioma and Chika became a cautionary tale, a warning to future generations about the dangers of forbidden love and the importance of adhering to the wisdom of the elders. Years after Chioma and Chike were exiled, a remarkable event occurred that would change the course of the Okonkwo family's history. One day, a group of travelers arrived at the village, seeking shelter and food. Among them were two young men who bore a striking resemblance to the Okonkwo family. It was soon revealed that they were the sons of Kioma and Chase. Born in exile, he learned to listen, to value the counsel of others, and to recognize that true strength came from humility, not arrogance. His story became a cautionary tale for the younger generation, a reminder that pride could lead to ruin if not tempered with wisdom. In the village of Abakpa, the dance of the spirits was one of the most sacred and anticipated events of the year. It was a time when the veil between the living and the spirit world was believed to be thin, allowing the ancestors to visit their descendants. The dance was both a celebration and a ritual, honoring the spirits and seeking their blessings for the year to come. The Okonkwo family, being one of the most prominent in the village, played a central role in the preparations. The women spent days weaving intricate costumes from palm fronds and colorful fabrics, while the men carved masks representing the various spirits of their ancestors. The children, excited by the prospect of seeing the spirits, practiced their dances and songs, eager to participate in the ceremony. On the night of the Dance of the Spirits, the village gathered in the central square, lit by the flickering light of oil lamps and the glow of the full moon. The drummers began to play, their beats resonating through the night, calling the spirits to join the living. The dancers, wearing their masks and costumes, moved gracefully to the rhythm, their bodies swaying in time with the drums. As the dance continued, the atmosphere grew charged with energy. The villagers believed that the spirits had indeed come to join them, guiding the dancers' movements and blessing the gathering. The elders, watching from the sidelines, chanted prayers and offered libations, ensuring that the spirits were honored and appeased. For the children of the Okonkwo family, the Dance of the Spirits was a magical experience. They felt the presence of their ancestors, the warmth of their blessings, and the joy of being part of something much larger than themselves. The dance was a reminder that the past was always with them, that the spirits of their ancestors watched over them and guided their steps. As the night wore on, the dance slowed, and the villagers began to disperse, returning to their homes with hearts full of gratitude and a renewed sense of connection to their roots. The dance of the spirits had once again reinforced the bond between the living and the dead, between the past and the present, and between the Okonkwo family and their rich heritage. As the Okonkwo family grew, so too did the complexities of their relationships. With so many wives, children, and grandchildren, it became increasingly difficult to keep track of the intricate web of connections within the family. This complexity led to a tragedy that would haunt the family for generations: the curse of forbidden love. Among Chief Ogbefi's many children were two who shared a bond that went beyond mere sibling affection. Kioma and Chike, though half-siblings, were inseparable from a young age. They played together, confided in each other, and as they grew older, their bond deepened into something more. The elders had always warned that love between siblings was forbidden, an abomination that could bring ruin upon the family. "The river does not drink its own water, and the tree does not eat its own fruit," they would say, emphasizing the natural order of things. But Kioma and Chike, blinded by their love, ignored the warnings. When their relationship was discovered, the family was thrown into turmoil. The elders were furious, declaring that the spirits of the ancestors would curse the family for this abomination. Kioma and Chike, ashamed and afraid, were forced to leave the village to avoid further dishonoring their family. Their departure was a dark chapter in the Okonkwo family's history, a reminder of the dangers of forbidden love. The family performed rituals to cleanse themselves of the curse, but the shadow of Kioma and Chike's actions lingered. For years, the family faced misfortunes, failed crops, illness, and accidents that they believed were the result of the curse. The news spread like wildfire through the village, and the family was filled with a mix of emotions: shock, curiosity, and even hope. Uchenna, now the family patriarch, decided to welcome the young men, seeing in them a chance for redemption and reconciliation. He believed that the sins of the parents should not be visited upon the children, and that the family could heal from the wounds of the past. The return of Kioma and Chike's sons was not without controversy. Some of the elders were wary, fearing that the curse would continue to plague the family. But others saw it as an opportunity to right the wrongs of the past and to bring peace to the spirits of the ancestors. The young men, who had been raised in a different village with little knowledge of their heritage, were eager to learn about their family and to be accepted. They showed respect for the tradition. The success of the cooperative brought a new sense of pride to the Okonkwo family. They had managed to honor their past while embracing the future, creating something that would sustain them for years to come. Ifeanyi's vision had become a reality, and the family was once again a symbol of prosperity and resilience. "The future is built on the foundation of the past," Uchenna would say, as he watched the younger generation carry on the legacy of the Okonkwo family. The business of the future had not only secured their financial well-being, but it had also strengthened the bonds of the family, ensuring that the lessons of the past would continue to guide them as they moved forward. One evening, as the family gathered around the fire for another storytelling session, Mama Amara shared a tale that had been passed down through generations. It was the story of the wild beast of the forest, a creature feared by all but defeated by the courage and cunning of a young warrior. The story began in a time long ago when the village was terrorized by a fearsome beast that lived deep in the forest. The beast was said to be as large as an elephant, with sharp teeth and claws that could tear through anything. It would come out at night, preying on livestock and anyone unfortunate enough to cross its path. The villagers lived in fear, unable to venture into the forest to gather food or wood. The elders tried everything: rituals, sacrifices, and prayers, but nothing could stop the beast. Desperation gripped the village, and the people began to lose hope. But there was one young warrior, Obinna, who refused to be defeated. He was brave and clever, known for his skill with the spear and his sharp mind. Obina decided that he would confront the beast, not with brute force, but with strategy. He believed that the beast, like all creatures, had a weakness, and he was determined to find it. Obina spent days observing the beast from a distance, learning its habits and patterns. He noticed that the beast was most active during the full moon, and that it always followed the same path through the forest. Obina realized that the beast was not invincible. It was simply a creature of habit. Using this knowledge, Obina set a trap. He dug a deep pit along the beast's path and covered it with branches and leaves. Then he waited. On the night of the full moon, the beast emerged from the forest, following its usual path. As it stepped onto the hidden trap, the ground gave way, and the beast fell into the pit. The villagers, hearing the beast's roars, rushed to the scene. They found the beast trapped, unable to escape. With Obina's guidance, they were able to defeat the beast, freeing the village from its terror. The story of Obinya and the wild beast became a legend, passed down through the generations. It taught the children that even the most fearsome challenges could be overcome with courage, intelligence, and perseverance. The warrior who fights with his mind as well as his spear will always prevail, Mama Amara said as she concluded the tale, her voice filled with pride. The children, captivated by the story, felt a renewed sense of bravery and determination. They understood that no matter how daunting the challenges they faced, they could overcome them if they used their wits and stayed true to their values. Despite the growing success and unity within the Okonkwo family, there were still unseen shadows lurking in the corners, remnants of the old curse that had plagued them for so long. These shadows manifested in subtle ways: unexplained illnesses, bad luck in business ventures, and tension among some of the family members. The elders began to worry that the curse of forbidden love might still be lingering, even after the return of Kioma and Chike's sons. One of the more superstitious members of the family, Auntie Nkechi, was particularly troubled by these events. She was known for her deep knowledge of traditional beliefs and rituals, and she often sought guidance from the spirits through divination. One night, after a series of unfortunate events, Nkechi decided to consult a renowned diviner from a distant village, hoping to uncover the source of the family's troubles. The diviner, an old man with a mysterious aura, listened carefully as Nkechi recounted the family's history, the curse, the forbidden love, and the many challenges they had faced. After hours of divination, he finally spoke, his voice grave and full of authority. The curse was not fully lifted, he declared. There are still unresolved matters that bind your family to the past. The spirits are restless because their justice has not been fully satisfied. Nkechi, alarmed by this revelation, asked what could be done to finally appease the spirits and free the family from the lingering curse. The diviner explained that the family must perform a final grand ritual, one that would involve not only the immediate family, but the entire village. The ritual would require offerings, prayers, and a deep connection with the ancestors to ask for their forgiveness and blessings. Returning to the village, Nkechi gathered the family and shared the diviner's words. The news sent ripples of fear and concern throughout the household, but it also sparked a determination to finally end the curse once and for all. The family began preparing for the ritual, which would take place on the night of the next full moon, a time when the spirits were believed to be most receptive. The ritual was a solemn and profound event. The entire village gathered at the family's compound, bringing offerings of food, drink, and other items to appease the spirits. The elders led the prayers, calling on the ancestors to forgive the family for their past transgressions and to bless them with peace and prosperity. The air was thick with incense and the sound of drums, creating an atmosphere charged with spiritual energy. As the night wore on, the family felt a shift, a release, as though a great weight had been lifted from their shoulders. The shadows that had plagued them for so long seemed to dissolve, and a sense of calm and relief settled over the village. The ritual had brought the family closer together, reinforcing their bond and their commitment to each other and to the lessons of their past. The past is always with us, but it does not have to define us, Uchenna said, his voice strong and clear. We have made peace with our ancestors, and now we must look to the future with hope and determination. With the curse lifted and the family's spirits renewed, the younger generation began to focus on education as the key to their future. Among them was Amara, a bright and ambitious young woman who had always been passionate about learning. Amara had been inspired by the stories of her great-grandfather's wealth and the many children who had managed to overcome the odds and succeed. She believed that education was the path to achieving even greater things for herself and her family. Amara dreamed of starting a school in the village, a place where children from all backgrounds could receive a quality education and be prepared for the challenges of the modern world. She envisioned a school that would combine traditional African values and wisdom with modern knowledge and skills, creating a generation of leaders who could carry the village forward into the future. At first, the idea of a school was met with some resistance. Many of the older villagers were skeptical, believing that formal education was unnecessary or even dangerous, as it could lead young people away from their traditions. But Amara was determined, and she began to gather support from the younger generation and from those who had experienced the benefits of education firsthand. With the backing of her family and a small group of supporters, Amara set out to make her dream a reality. She sought funding, found teachers who shared her vision, and worked tirelessly to build the school from the ground up. The process was challenging, but Amara's passion and dedication inspired others to join her cause. The school, which Amara named the School of Tomorrow, opened its doors to students from the village and surrounding areas. It quickly became a beacon of hope and progress, offering children the opportunity to learn and grow in ways that had not been possible before. The curriculum included subjects like mathematics, science, and literature, but also traditional African history, culture, and proverbs, ensuring that the students remained connected to their roots. The impact of the school was profound. Children who might have otherwise been destined to follow in the footsteps of their parents, working the land or engaging in small trade, now had the chance to dream bigger and to pursue careers that had once seemed out of reach. The school also became a place where the community could come together, sharing knowledge and ideas, and working towards a brighter future for everyone. Amara's vision had become a reality, and her school was a testament to the power of education and the importance of investing in the future. A child who is not embraced by the village will burn it down to feel its warmth, she often said, reminding others of the need to nurture and support the next generation. In the wake of the school's success and the lifting of the curse, the Okonkwo family decided to host a grand festival, a celebration of reconciliation, renewal, and hope for the future. The Festival of Reconciliation was not only a family event, but a village-wide affair, bringing together people from all walks of life to celebrate their shared history and the bonds that connected them. The preparations for the festival were elaborate. The women of the family spent weeks cooking and preparing food, while the men organized games, music, and performances. The village square was decorated with colorful banners and lights, and a large stage was set up for speeches, dances, and storytelling. The festival began with a traditional opening ceremony led by the elders. They spoke of the importance of forgiveness, healing, and moving forward, reminding everyone that while the past could not be changed, the future was theirs to shape. The ceremony was followed by a series of dances, each one representing a different aspect of the village's culture and history. One of the highlights of the festival was a performance by the children of the village, many of whom were students at Amara's school. They had prepared a play that told the story of the Okonkwo family, from the days of Chief Ogbifi to the present. The play was both educational and entertaining, reminding the audience of the challenges the family had faced and the lessons they had learned along the way. The festival also included a reconciliation ceremony, where members of the community who had been at odds with each other were invited to come forward and make peace. This was a deeply emotional part of the event, as old grievances were put to rest and new friendships were forged. The ceremony was a powerful reminder that reconciliation was not just about forgetting the past, but about building a stronger future together. As the festival continued late into the night, the village was filled with the sound of music, laughter, and celebration. The Okonkwo family, once burdened by the weight of their past, now stood united and proud, ready to face the future with renewed strength and determination. "The sun does not forget a village just because it is small," Uchenna said as he addressed the crowd, his voice full of pride. "We may have faced many challenges, but we are stronger because of them. Together, we will continue to grow, to learn, and to thrive." The Festival of Reconciliation left the Okonkwo family and the entire village in high spirits. As they celebrated their newfound unity and strength, a new chapter was quietly beginning within the family. A chapter that would see the rise of a remarkable leader who would guide the family and the village into a prosperous future. The leader in question was Nnamdi, the youngest son of Uchenna. Nnamdi had always been a thoughtful and observant child, often listening intently to the stories of the elders and asking questions that showed a wisdom beyond his years. Unlike some of his siblings, who were eager to make their mark quickly, Nnamdi took his time, learning from the successes and failures of those who came before him. As Nnamdi grew older, it became clear that he possessed a natural talent for leadership. He had a calm demeanor, a sharp mind, and a deep sense of fairness that earned him the respect of both the young and the old. He was often called upon to mediate disputes, offer advice, and make decisions that affected the family and the village. Nnamdi's rise to leadership was gradual but inevitable. When Uchenna, now elderly, began to step back from his duties, the family naturally turned to Nnamdi to take on more responsibility. He did so with humility and grace, always mindful of the lessons his father had taught him. A leader is like a tree that provides shade. Its strength comes from deep roots, and its purpose is to serve others. One of Nnamdi's first major initiatives as the new head of the family was to expand the cooperative that Ifeanyi had started. Nnamdi saw great potential in the cooperative and believed that with the right guidance, it could become a model of success for the entire region. He worked tirelessly to build partnerships, improve infrastructure, and introduce new crops and technologies that would increase productivity and sustainability. Under Nnamdi's leadership, the cooperative flourished, attracting attention from other villages and even from government officials. It became a hub of innovation and collaboration, where people from different backgrounds could come together to share knowledge and resources. The cooperative's success brought wealth and opportunity to the village, lifting many out of poverty and providing a brighter future for the younger generation. But Nnamdi's leadership was not just about economic success. He was deeply committed to preserving the cultural heritage of the village and ensuring that the values of the past were not lost in the pursuit of progress. He organized cultural festivals, supported the arts, and encouraged the teaching of traditional wisdom alongside modern education. Nnamdi's vision was clear: to create a future where tradition and modernity could coexist in harmony, where the lessons of the past could guide the innovations of the future. His leadership brought a sense of stability and purpose to the family and the village, and he became known as a wise and just leader, respected by all. Despite the prosperity and harmony that Nnamdi had brought to the village, life in the African wilderness was never without its dangers. One of the most feared threats was the leopard, a powerful and cunning predator that had long been a symbol of both beauty and terror in the village. The tragedy began on a quiet evening when the village was plunged into chaos by the sudden appearance of a leopard on the outskirts of the farmland. The animal, driven by hunger or perhaps anger at the encroachment of human activity on its territory, attacked several livestock and injured a young boy who had been tending the animals. The news spread quickly, and fear gripped the village. The leopard had struck before, but this time it seemed more aggressive, more determined. The villagers knew that something had to be done, but they were divided on how to handle the situation. Some argued that the leopard should be hunted down and killed, while others believed that the animal should be respected and that a solution could be found that did not involve violence. Nnamdi, as the leader of the family and a key figure in the village, was faced with a difficult decision. He understood the danger posed by the leopard, but he also knew the importance of living in harmony with nature, a value that had been passed down through generations. After consulting with the elders and considering all the options, Nnamdi decided on a course of action that he hoped would protect both the village and the leopard. Nnamdi gathered a group of skilled hunters and trackers, not to kill the leopard, but to capture it and relocate it to a safer area, far from the village. The plan was risky, but Nnamdi believed it was the best way to honor the village's traditions, while also ensuring the safety of its people. The hunt was tense and dangerous. The hunters tracked the leopard for days, following its trail through the dense forest. The animal was elusive, intelligent, and powerful. Every encounter with it was a test of courage and skill. Finally, after a long and exhausting pursuit, the hunters managed to corner the leopard and trap it in a specially designed cage. The leopard was relocated to a remote part of the forest, far from the village, where it could live without posing a threat to humans. The village was relieved, and Nnamdi's decision was praised as a wise and compassionate solution to a difficult problem. But the tragedy of the leopard left a lasting impression on the village. It was a reminder of the delicate balance between humans and nature, and the dangers that could arise when that balance was disturbed. Nnamdi used the experience to teach the younger generation about the importance of respecting the natural world and living in harmony with all creatures, great and small. In the midst of challenges and triumphs, one constant in the Okonkwo family's life was the joy of being part of a large, loving family. Despite the occasional conflicts and dramas that came with having so many relatives, the family remained a source of comfort, support, and happiness for each of its members. The joy of family was most evident during the many gatherings and celebrations that filled the Okonkwo family's calendar. Whether it was a wedding, a naming ceremony, a harvest festival, or simply a Sunday dinner, these events were opportunities for the family to come together, to share stories, laughter, and love. One of the most cherished family traditions was the storytelling sessions led by Mama Amara, who had become the heart and soul of the family's cultural heritage. Every evening, after the day's work was done, the family would gather around the fire, and Mama Amara would share a story from the rich tapestry of African folklore. These stories were more than just entertainment. They were lessons in life, teaching the children about courage, wisdom, respect, and the importance of community. Mama Amara had a gift for bringing the characters to life, making the children feel as if they were right there in the story, facing the challenges and triumphs alongside the heroes. One of the children's favorite stories was about the clever tortoise, who used his wits to outsmart animals much stronger than himself. The tortoise may be slow, Mama Amara would say, but his mind is quick, and that is why he always finds a way. The children loved the tortoise's adventures and would often act out the stories, each taking on the role of a different animal. The joy of family also extended to the wider community. The Okonkwo family's compound was always open to visitors, whether they were distant cousins, old friends, or travelers passing through the village. Hospitality was a core value, and the family took pride in making everyone feel welcome and at home. The family's generosity was not limited to material things. They shared their time, their wisdom, and their love freely. A home filled with love is never empty, Uchenna often said, and this was the spirit in which the Okonkwo family lived. The joy of family was a source of strength and resilience, helping the Okonkwo family to weather the storms of life and to celebrate their successes together. It was a reminder that, no matter what challenges they faced, they would always have each other to lean on. As time passed, the Okonkwo family and the village continued to thrive under Nnamdi's leadership. However, the winds of change were beginning to blow, bringing new challenges and opportunities that would test the family's unity and adaptability. One of the most significant changes came in the form of new technology and infrastructure being introduced to the village. The government had announced plans to build a new road that would connect the village to the larger towns and cities. While many saw this as a positive development, bringing greater access to markets, education, and healthcare, others were wary of the impact it might have on their traditional way of life. Nnamdi found himself at the center of the debate. As a leader who valued both progress and tradition, he understood the benefits that the new road could bring, but he was also concerned about preserving the village's cultural identity. He knew that with the road would come outside influences, and he feared that the younger generation might be drawn away from their roots. To address these concerns, Nnamdi organized a series of community meetings where everyone could voice their opinions and discuss the potential impact of the road. These meetings were lively and sometimes heated, with villagers passionately arguing both for and against the development. "A road is like a river," one elder said during a meeting. "It brings life, but it can also sweep away what is in its path if we are not careful." In the end, the village decided to embrace the change, but with caution. They would welcome the new road, but they would also take steps to protect their culture and traditions. Nnamdi led the way in creating a village charter that outlined the community's values and goals. This charter emphasized the importance of education, environmental stewardship, and cultural preservation, ensuring that the village's identity would not be lost in the wave of modernization. The construction of the road began, and as expected, it brought both challenges and opportunities. New businesses sprang up along the road, and the village saw an influx of visitors and traders. The local economy grew, and many villagers found new opportunities for work and entrepreneurship. At the same time, the village faced new social dynamics. The younger generation, excited by the new possibilities, began to adopt more modern lifestyles, which sometimes clashed with the older generation's values. Nnamdi, ever the mediator, worked hard to bridge the gap between the generations, encouraging dialogue and understanding. "The world is changing," he often told the young people, "but we must change in a way that honors where we come from. We must be like the baobab tree, with deep roots and branches that reach towards the sky." As the village adapted to the new changes, there was a growing sense of nostalgia among the elders for the old ways. Many felt that the younger generation was losing touch with the ancestral wisdom that had guided the village for centuries. To address this concern, Nnamdi proposed an annual festival dedicated to the ancestors, a time for the village to come together, honor their heritage, and reconnect with the spiritual roots of their community. The first festival was a grand affair. The entire village participated in the preparations, which included cleaning and decorating the village square, preparing traditional foods, and rehearsing songs and dances that had been passed down through generations. On the day of the festival, the village was transformed. The air was filled with the sound of drums, flutes, and singing, as the villagers gathered to pay homage to their ancestors. The festival began with a solemn procession to the sacred grove, where the village's ancestors were believed to dwell. There, the elders offered prayers and libations, asking for the ancestors' blessings and guidance. One of the most moving parts of the festival was the storytelling session, where the elders recounted the history of the village and the deeds of their forefathers. The stories were not just about the past, they were lessons for the present and the future, teaching the values of courage, wisdom, and unity. "The ancestors are not just in the past," one elder said during the storytelling session. "They live in us, in our actions, in our decisions. We are their legacy, and it is our duty to honor them by living in a way that would make them proud." The festival also featured performances by the children of the village, who had learned traditional dances and songs at the School of Tomorrow. Their performances were a symbol of the continuity of the village's culture, showing that the younger generation was not forgetting their roots, even as they embraced new opportunities. The festival was a resounding success, and it became an annual event that the village looked forward to with great anticipation. It was a time of reflection, celebration, and renewal, a reminder that while the world was changing, the village's connection to its ancestors remained strong. Just as the village seemed to be finding its balance between tradition and progress, a literal storm descended upon them. It was the worst storm anyone could remember. a violent, unrelenting tempest that tore through the village, destroying homes, crops, and even the newly built road. The storm struck in the middle of the night, catching the villagers off guard. The winds howled like a chorus of angry spirits, and the rain fell in torrents, flooding the fields and turning the village square into a river of mud. The villagers huddled in their homes, praying for safety as the storm raged on. When the storm finally passed, the village emerged to find a scene of devastation. Many homes had been damaged or destroyed, and the crops that were the lifeblood of the village lay ruined in the fields. The new road, which had been a symbol of hope and progress, was washed away in places, leaving deep gullies and impassable stretches. The village was in shock, and for a time there was a sense of despair. But Nnamdi, true to his nature, did not let the disaster break the spirit of the community. He called a meeting in the village square, where he spoke words of encouragement and hope. "The storm may have taken much from us," he said, "but it has not taken our will to rebuild. We are stronger than any storm, and together we will rise from this." The villagers, inspired by Nnamdi's leadership, began the hard work of rebuilding. They repaired their homes, replanted their crops, and worked together to restore the road. The cooperative played a crucial role in the recovery, providing resources and support to those in need. The storm, though devastating, also brought the village closer together. It reminded them of the importance of community, of standing together in the face of adversity. The storm also deepened their appreciation for the natural world and the need to respect its power. "The storm is like life," Nnamdi would later reflect. "It can be harsh and unpredictable, but it also brings renewal. After the storm, the air is clearer, the earth is refreshed, and new growth begins." The village's recovery was slow but steady, and in time, they were able to rebuild stronger than before. The experience of the storm and the subsequent rebuilding effort became another chapter in the Okonkwo family's story, a story of resilience, unity, and the power of hope. As the village continued to rebuild and adapt to the changes brought by the storm and the new road, life in the Okonkwo family settled into a new rhythm. It was during this time that love bloomed within the family, bringing with it both joy and new challenges. One of Nnamdi's younger sisters, Adana, had caught the eye of a young man from a neighboring village. His name was Chidi, and he was known for his kindness, intelligence, and strong sense of duty to his family and community. Chidi had been helping with the rebuilding efforts after the storm, and it was during this time that he and Adana grew close. Their love blossomed quickly, and soon Chidi approached Nnamdi to ask for Adana's hand in marriage. Nnamdi, who had come to know Chidi well through their work together, gave his blessing, but not without reminding Chidi of the responsibilities that came with marrying into the Okonkwo family. "Marriage is like tending a garden," Nnamdi told Chidi. "It requires patience, care, and understanding. If you are willing to put in the work, the rewards will be great. But if you neglect it, the weeds of discord will take root." The preparations for the wedding were a time of great excitement and activity. The entire village was involved in the festivities, with everyone contributing in some way, whether it was through cooking, decorating, or providing entertainment. The wedding was to be a grand affair, a celebration not just of love, but of the resilience and unity of the village. On the day of the wedding, the village was transformed into a scene of vibrant colors and joyful sounds. Adana, dressed in a beautiful traditional attire, looked radiant as she walked down the aisle, accompanied by her family. Chidi, standing tall and proud, could not hide the joy on his face as he watched his bride approach. The ceremony was a blend of tradition and modernity, reflecting the values that Nnamdi had instilled in the village. There were blessings from the elders, songs and dances performed by the youth, and even a few modern touches that had become popular in the village. The highlight of the ceremony was the exchange of vows, where both Adana and Chidi pledged their love and commitment to each other in front of the entire community. The celebrations continued long into the night, with feasting, dancing, and storytelling. It was a joyous occasion that brought the village together, reminding everyone of the importance of love, family, and community. While the joy of Adana's wedding filled the hearts of the Okonkwo family, a dark secret began to surface, one that threatened to unravel the delicate fabric of the family's unity. The secret involved two of Uchenna's grandchildren, who had unknowingly fallen in love with each other. Their love had blossomed in the secrecy of the night, away from the prying eyes of the family. But as their relationship grew deeper, so did the whispers among the villagers who began to notice their closeness. It was during a family gathering that the truth came to light. An elder, who had grown suspicious, confronted the young lovers and demanded to know the nature of their relationship. The young couple, caught off guard and overwhelmed with guilt, confessed that they had been seeing each other in secret. The revelation sent shockwaves through the family. The taboo of siblings marrying, even if distant, was a grave one, considered an abomination that could bring misfortune upon the entire family. The elders immediately called for a family meeting to address the situation. The gathering was tense, filled with anger, fear, and sadness. Uchenna, though now frail, was heartbroken by the news. He had always preached the importance of family unity and respect for tradition, and now it seemed that those very values had been violated. Nnamdi, though deeply troubled by the situation, knew that the family needed guidance more than ever. He called for calm and urged the family to seek a solution that would address the issue without tearing them apart. "The river does not cleanse itself by fighting against its currents," Nnamdi said. "We must find a way to cleanse this situation without destroying the family." After much discussion, the elders decided that the young couple would have to be separated and sent to live with distant relatives in different villages. It was a painful decision, but one that was necessary to maintain the integrity of the family. The couple, though heartbroken, accepted their fate and vowed to respect the family's wishes. The incident served as a stark reminder of the importance of upholding the values and traditions that had guided the family for generations. It also highlighted the need for open communication and guidance for the younger generation to ensure that they understood the consequences of their actions. The family's handling of the situation, though difficult, reinforced the bonds between them. They emerged from the ordeal with a renewed sense of purpose, determined to learn from the past and to protect the future of their family. As the Okonkwo family moved forward from the challenges they had faced, they entered a period of renewal and growth. The lessons they had learned from both the joyous and painful experiences of the past few years had strengthened their resolve and deepened their understanding of what it meant to be a family. The village, too, was entering a new era. The road that had once been a source of concern was now a vital artery, bringing new opportunities and connections to the wider world. Education had become a priority, and more children were attending school than ever before. The cooperative, under Nnamdi's leadership, continued to thrive, providing a stable foundation for the village's economy. One of the most significant developments during this time was the opening of a new school, built with funds raised by the cooperative and donations from well-wishers. The school was named in honor of Uchenna, whose vision and leadership had laid the groundwork for the village's prosperity. The school quickly became a source of pride for the village. It offered not only basic education, but also lessons in agriculture, craftsmanship, and entrepreneurship, skills that would prepare the younger generation for the challenges and opportunities of the future. The opening of the school was celebrated with great fanfare. There was a grand ceremony attended by villagers, local dignitaries, and even representatives from the government. The children, dressed in their new uniforms, sang songs of hope and gratitude, while the elders spoke of the importance of education in securing the future of the village. Nnamdi, who had played a key role in bringing the school to fruition, spoke at the ceremony, emphasizing the value of knowledge and the power it had to transform lives. "Knowledge is like a seed," he said. "When planted in the minds of the young, it grows into a tree that bears fruit for generations to come." This school is our way of planting those seeds, ensuring that our children have the tools they need to build a better future. The school quickly became a beacon of hope for the village. Children who once had limited opportunities now had access to education that could open doors to new possibilities. Parents, too, were invested in the school's success, seeing it as a way to ensure that their children could lead better lives than they had. The joy of having a school in the village was palpable, and it brought a sense of pride and optimism that had not been felt in years. The Okonkwo family, in particular, saw the school as a symbol of their resilience and commitment to the future. It was a testament to their ability to overcome challenges and to create something lasting and meaningful. As the village thrived and the new school became a cornerstone of the community, the importance of the elders' wisdom became even more apparent. The elders, who had lived through the village's many trials and triumphs, were seen as the guardians of tradition and the keepers of the village's collective memory. One of the most respected elders was Mama Adeze, Uchenna's eldest sister, and a revered figure in the village. Known for her vast knowledge of herbal medicine, traditional customs, and storytelling, Mama Adeze was often sought out by both young and old for advice and guidance. Mama Adeze had seen the village transform over the decades, and she understood the delicate balance between embracing change and preserving tradition. She often reminded the younger generation that while it was important to move forward, they should never forget the lessons of the past. To forget where you come from, she would say, is to lose sight of where you are going. The roots of a tree must be strong for its branches to reach the sky. Her words resonated deeply with Nnamdi, who frequently visited Mama Adeze to seek her counsel. During these visits, they would sit under the shade of a large baobab tree, discussing the challenges and opportunities facing the village. One day, as they sat together, Mama Adeze shared a story that had been passed down through generations, a story about the importance of unity and wisdom. In the days of our ancestors, she began, there was a village much like ours, surrounded by forests and rivers. The villagers were prosperous, but they often quarreled among themselves, each thinking they knew best. One day, a great drought came, and the crops began to wither. The villagers, desperate for water, dug wells in every corner of the village, but each well they dug came up dry. An elder, wise and respected, called the villagers together and told them that the only way to find water was to dig one deep well in the center of the village, where all could share the water. But the villagers, stubborn in their ways, continued to dig their own wells. In the end, they found no water, and many went hungry. It was only when they heeded the elders' advice, coming together to dig a single well, that they finally found the water they needed. The lesson, my son, is that wisdom and unity are the greatest strengths a community can have. Nnamdi listened intently, knowing that the story held valuable lessons for his own leadership. He realized that, like the villagers in the story, his own community needed to stay united and listen to the wisdom of the elders to overcome the challenges they faced. After that day, Nnamdi made it a point to involve the elders more in the village's decision-making processes. He organized regular meetings where the elders could share their knowledge and offer advice on important matters. These gatherings became known as the Council of Elders, and they played a crucial role in guiding the village through times of change. The village was buzzing with excitement and anticipation as word spread that one of Uchenna's grandsons, who had left the village many years ago, was returning home. His name was Obinna, and he had been one of the few in the family who had left to pursue opportunities in the city. Obinna's departure had been a source of pride and sadness for the family. He was known for his intelligence and ambition, and it was clear from a young age that he was destined for great things. However, his decision to leave the village had been met with mixed feelings. Some admired his courage, while others worried that he would lose touch with his roots. Years had passed since Obinna left, and in that time, he had achieved great success in the city. He had become a prominent businessman, known for his innovative ideas and philanthropy. But despite his achievements, Obinna had never forgotten the village or the lessons he had learned from his family. When Obinna returned to the village, he was welcomed with open arms. The entire community gathered to greet him, and there was a grand celebration in his honor. There was music, dancing, and feasting, and the air was filled with joy and pride. Obinna, though changed by his experiences in the city, was deeply moved by the warmth and love of his family and the village. He had returned not just to visit, but with a purpose. He wanted to give back to the community that had shaped him and to help ensure its continued prosperity. During the celebration, Obinna addressed the villagers, sharing stories of his life in the city and the lessons he had learned along the way. "I have seen many places and met many people," he said, "but no matter where I go, this village is my home. The values I learned here, hard work, integrity, and respect for others, are what have guided me through life. And now, I want to use what I have learned to help this village grow and thrive." Obinna's return was not just a moment of celebration. It was the beginning of a new chapter for the village. With his help, the village began to explore new opportunities for economic development, including the establishment of small businesses and the introduction of new agricultural techniques. Obinna also made significant contributions to the village's school, providing funding for new classrooms, books, and scholarships for students who wanted to pursue higher education. His efforts ensured that the next generation would have even more opportunities to succeed. But perhaps the most important thing Obinna brought back with him was a renewed sense of connection between the village and the outside world. He showed the villagers that it was possible to succeed beyond the village while still staying true to one's roots. As the years passed, Obinna's contributions had a lasting impact on the village. The community continued to grow and prosper, with new opportunities and a strong sense of unity. The Okonkwo family, too, was strengthened by Obinna's return, as it reminded them of the importance of family ties and the value of giving back. With the village flourishing and the family growing stronger, the time came for the annual Harvest Festival, a time of thanksgiving, celebration, and reflection. This year's harvest was particularly bountiful, a testament to the hard work and cooperation of the villagers. The festival was a grand affair, with everyone coming together to celebrate the fruits of their labor. There were songs and dances, feasts of yam and plantain, and vibrant displays of traditional arts and crafts. The air was filled with the scent of roasting meat and the sound of laughter and music. For the Okonkwo family, the Harvest Festival was also a time to give thanks for the many blessings they had received over the years. Despite the challenges they had faced, they had remained united and strong, and their prosperity was a reflection of their resilience and determination. As part of the festival, the family gathered to offer prayers of gratitude to the ancestors, asking for their continued guidance and protection. They also made offerings to the gods, thanking them for the bountiful harvest and asking for a prosperous year ahead. The highlight of the festival was the communal feast, where the entire village gathered to share in the abundance of the harvest. It was a time of fellowship, where old feuds were forgotten and everyone came together as one community. During the feast, Nnamdi stood to address the villagers, his voice filled with pride and gratitude. "This harvest is not just the result of hard work," he said. "It is the result of unity, of working together for the common good. We are stronger when we stand together, and this festival is a celebration of that strength. Let us remember that as we move forward into the future," the villagers cheered, raising their glasses in a toast to the future. It was a moment of pure joy and hope, a reminder of the power of community and the importance of staying connected to one's roots. The Harvest Festival became a cherished tradition, a time for the village to come together and celebrate their achievements while looking forward to the future with hope and optimism. Amidst the joy and celebration of the Harvest Festival, there were still members of the Okonkwo family whose hearts were heavy with regret. The story of their father, Uchenna, still cast a long shadow over some of the family members, particularly those who had struggled with the consequences of his choices. One such person was Ifeanyi, one of Uchenna's middle sons. Unlike many of his siblings, who had found success in business, farming, or education, Ifeanyi had been weighed down by the burden of his father's reputation. While Uchenna had been wealthy and respected, his lifestyle had left scars, broken relationships, conflicts among his children, and the infamous story of the sibling marriages, which had brought shame upon the family. Ifeanyi had always been a quiet, contemplative man, but the pain of his father's mistakes had festered in his heart. He often felt like he lived in the shadow of a giant, whose actions defined the entire family. No matter how hard he tried, he could not escape the whispers of the villagers who still remembered Uchenna's excessive marriages and the chaos it had caused. One evening, during the festival, Ifeanyi sat apart from the others, watching the celebrations from a distance. The sounds of music and laughter filled the air, but inside, he felt a growing sense of isolation. He wondered if the family would ever truly be free from the sins of the past. As Ifeanyi sat in the fading light, his cousin Kenichi approached him. Kenichi was one of the few in the family who had always understood Ifeanyi's quiet struggles. He was known for his wisdom and his ability to speak truth in a way that could heal. "You sit alone while your family dances," Kenichi said, sitting down next to Ifeanyi. "What weighs your heart, my brother?" Ifeanyi sighed deeply. "I cannot shake the past, Kenichi. Our father's choices, his many wives, the division among us. It feels like a curse that follows me. While others move forward, I am stuck in the shadow of what he left behind." Kenichi nodded, understanding his cousin's pain. "Ifeanyi, our father was not without his flaws, it is true. He made choices that brought both blessings and burdens. But remember this, the sins of the father need not be the sins of the son. You are not defined by what he did, but by what you do. You have the power to write your own story." "But how?" Ifeanyi asked, his voice filled with frustration. "How do I escape this shadow?" Kenichi looked at him with gentle eyes. "You don't escape it, Ifeanyi. You confront it, you learn from it. Our father's story is part of us, but it is not the whole of us. Just as we have inherited his mistakes, we have also inherited his strengths. It is up to us to choose which parts of his legacy we carry forward." Kenichi's words struck a chord in Ifeanyi's heart. For the first time, he realized that he had been allowing the weight of the past to define his future. He had been so focused on the mistakes that he had forgotten the lessons they held. In the days that followed, Ifeanyi began to take steps toward healing. He reached out to his siblings, many of whom had also struggled with their father's legacy. Together, they began to have open conversations about the past, sharing their pain, but also their hopes for the future. Slowly but surely, Ifeanyi began to feel lighter. He understood now that while the past could not be changed, the future was still his to shape. And with that understanding came a renewed sense of purpose and peace. As Ifeanyi worked to reconcile with the past, the power of forgiveness became a central theme within the family. The village had long held on to stories of feuds and grudges, passed down from one generation to the next. But the Okonkwo family knew that to move forward, they had to find a way to forgive, not only each other, but also themselves. One of the most difficult relationships to mend was that between Uchenna's eldest son, Obi, and his half-brother, Chukwudi. The two brothers had always been at odds, their rivalry stemming from the time when Uchenna's wealth and attention were unevenly divided among his children. Obi, as the eldest, had been groomed to inherit the family's wealth, while Chukwudi, born of one of Uchenna's later wives, had often felt overlooked. The tension between the two brothers had grown over the years, reaching a breaking point when Uchenna passed away. There had been a bitter dispute over the division of land and property, with both brothers accusing the other of greed. The rift between them had caused deep divisions within the family, and for years they had barely spoken. But as time passed, both Obi and Chukwudi began to realize the toll that their estrangement was taking, not just on themselves, but on the entire family. Their children barely knew each other, and family gatherings were often filled with an underlying tension. It was during the annual harvest festival that Obi, now an elder in his own right, decided to take the first step toward reconciliation. As the family gathered for a meal, he stood and called for silence. The entire family looked at him in surprise, for Obi was not a man known for making grand speeches. "I have spent many years carrying a heavy burden," Obi began, his voice steady but filled with emotion. "A burden of anger, of resentment, and of pride. My brother Chukwudi and I have been at odds for as long as I can remember, and in my stubbornness, I have allowed that anger to fester." He turned to Chukwudi, who sat quietly across the table. "But today, I want to lay down that burden. I want to ask for your forgiveness, Chukwudi. I have wronged you, and I have wronged our family by allowing this feud to continue for so long." There was a stunned silence in the room. For a moment, it seemed as if time had stopped. Chukwudi, who had always prided himself on his toughness, was visibly moved by his brother's words. He stood slowly, his eyes filled with tears. "You are not the only one who has held on to anger, Obi," Chukwudi said, his voice trembling. "I, too, have allowed pride to blind me. I forgive you, brother, and I ask for your forgiveness as well." The two brothers embraced, and the room erupted into applause and tears. It was a moment of profound healing, not just for Obi and Chukwudi, but for the entire family. The rift that had divided them for so long was finally mended, and the weight of the past was lifted. From that day on, the Okonkwo family made a commitment to forgiveness. They understood that while the past could not be erased, it did not have to dictate their future. They learned that forgiveness was not just a gift to others, but a gift to themselves, a way to free their hearts from the chains of resentment and bitterness. The act of forgiveness between Obi and Chukwudi sent ripples of healing throughout the entire Okonkwo family. As word of their reconciliation spread, it inspired other family members who had long held on to grudges and misunderstandings. One by one, old wounds were addressed, and the family began to experience a renewed sense of unity. The village noticed the change as well. The Okonkwo family, once known for its internal conflicts and division, was now seen as a symbol of reconciliation and strength. The family's transformation became a topic of discussion among the elders, who often used it as a teaching point for the younger generation. To celebrate this newfound harmony, the family decided to host a grand gathering, inviting not just immediate relatives, but cousins, distant kin, and friends from neighboring villages. It was a celebration not just of their reconciliation, but of the strength that came from facing the past and choosing a brighter future. The preparations for the gathering were elaborate. Women of the family cooked large pots of jollof rice, pounded yam, and pepper soup. Men slaughtered goats and chickens, preparing the meat for the feast. Children were tasked with decorating the family compound with colorful cloths and flowers, while the youth rehearsed traditional dances to perform during the celebration. The day of the gathering arrived, and the Okonkwo compound was filled with the sounds of drumming, singing, and laughter. It was a joyous occasion, with people dressed in their finest attire, embracing one another, and sharing stories. The air was filled with the aroma of delicious food, and the sounds of clinking glasses as toasts were made to the family's renewed unity. As the evening wore on, the elders gathered the family together to share words of wisdom. Mama Adiza, the family matriarch, spoke first, her voice strong despite her age. "My children," she began, "today we celebrate not just the reconciliation of our family, but the strength of our bonds. We have faced many challenges, and we have made many mistakes. But today, we stand together, stronger than ever. Let this be a reminder that no matter how deep the rift, love and forgiveness can bridge it." Her words were met with applause, and other elders followed, each sharing their own reflections on the importance of family, unity, and the lessons learned from the past. As the speeches concluded, the family gathered for a group prayer, giving thanks for their blessings and asking for continued guidance and protection. The night ended with dancing, as the younger members of the family performed energetic dances, their movements telling stories of the family's history, struggles, and triumphs. The older members joined in, their laughter and joy a testament to the healing that had taken place. As the celebration drew to a close, the family knew that this gathering marked the beginning of a new chapter in their story. They had learned that the true wealth of a family was not in material possessions, but in the strength of their relationships and their ability to overcome adversity together. While the Okonkwo family had found peace within their ranks, life in the village continued to present its own challenges. One such challenge came in the form of a prolonged drought that threatened the livelihoods of many villagers, including the Okonkwo family. The rains, which usually arrived in abundance during the planting season, had failed to come, leaving the fields dry and the crops withering under the scorching sun. The rivers and streams that provided water for drinking and irrigation were reduced to a trickle, and the once lush landscape became parched and barren. For the villagers, the drought was not just a physical challenge, but a spiritual one as well. In times of hardship, they had always turned to their faith, seeking comfort and guidance from the gods and ancestors. But as the drought persisted, doubts began to creep into the hearts of even the most devout. The village elders, including Nnamdi, gathered to discuss how best to address the crisis. They knew that the drought threatened not just their crops, but their entire way of life. The discussions were serious, with each elder sharing their thoughts on what might have caused the drought and how to overcome it. Some believed that the drought was a punishment from the gods for the village's sins, while others saw it as a natural cycle that would eventually pass. Nnamdi, however, urged the elders to focus on unity and collective action rather than placing blame. "We cannot control the rain, but we can control how we respond to this challenge," Nnamdi said. "Let us come together as a community, pooling our resources and working to conserve what water we have. And let us pray not just for rain, but for the strength to endure this trial." The elders agreed, and plans were made to dig new wells, ration water, and support those who were struggling the most. But alongside these practical measures, the village also turned to prayer. A large prayer gathering was organized, with people from all corners of the village coming together in the central square. The villagers, dressed in their traditional attire, offered prayers and sacrifices to the gods, asking for rain to save their crops and livestock. The atmosphere was solemn, yet filled with hope. The elders led the prayers, their voices rising in unison as they called upon the gods to show mercy. The people sang songs of faith and hope, their voices carrying across the village, creating a sense of unity and shared purpose. As the prayers continued into the night, something remarkable happened. A cool breeze began to blow through the village, bringing with it the scent of rain. The people looked up in surprise and hope, and soon the first drops of rain began to fall. The rain started slowly at first, but then it intensified, pouring down in sheets and soaking the dry earth. The villagers rejoiced, dancing in the rain and giving thanks for this blessing. The drought was finally broken, and with it, the fear and uncertainty that had gripped the village. For the Okonkwo family and the entire village, the experience was a powerful reminder of the importance of faith, unity, and perseverance. They had faced a test of faith and had come through it stronger, with a renewed sense of purpose and gratitude. With the rains came a resurgence of life to the village, but also the return of an old threat, the leopards. These majestic, yet dangerous creatures had long roamed the nearby forest, but during the drought, they had ventured further away in search of food. Now, with the forest thriving once more, the leopards returned, bringing a mixture of awe and fear to the village. For generations, the people had respected the leopards, seeing them as powerful symbols of strength and cunning. Stories were told around the evening fires of great hunters who had outwitted the leopards, as well as of those who had fallen prey to their sharp claws and teeth. The leopards were both feared and revered, embodying the wild and untamed spirit of the land. But the return of the leopards posed a real danger, especially to the children and livestock. The village elders gathered once again to discuss how to protect the people while maintaining the delicate balance between man and nature. Some suggested organizing hunting parties to drive the leopards away, while others urged caution, reminding the village of the importance of coexisting with the natural world. Okonkwo's sons, especially the younger ones like Eze and Obina, were fascinated by the stories of the leopards. They had grown up hearing tales of their father's encounters with wild animals and dreamed of proving their own bravery. But the elders cautioned them, emphasizing that the leopards were not to be underestimated. One evening, as the sun set and the village prepared for the night, a sudden commotion broke out near the edge of the forest. A young boy had gone missing, and his parents feared the worst. The villagers quickly organized a search party, led by Nnamdi and several of the strongest men. Armed with torches and spears, the men ventured into the forest, their hearts heavy with worry. The dense foliage and the sounds of the night made the search difficult, but they pressed on, calling out the boy's name and listening for any signs of him. Hours passed, and just as hope began to wane, they heard a faint cry for help. Below him, a leopard paced, its eyes glowing in the darkness. Nnamdi and the others knew they had to act quickly. With careful precision, they surrounded the leopard, using their torches to keep it at bay. The leopard, sensing it was outnumbered, eventually retreated into the shadows of the forest. The men quickly retrieved the boy and returned to the village, where he was reunited with his grateful family. The incident served as a reminder of the dangers that came with living close to the wild. But it also reinforced the village's respect for the leopards, understanding that they, too, were a part of the natural order. The elders decided that rather than hunting the leopards, they would build stronger enclosures for their livestock and establish clear boundaries to avoid further conflicts. The story of the boy's rescue and the encounter with the leopard quickly became the talk of the village. Around the fires at night, the tale was retold with a mixture of fear and admiration, adding to the rich tapestry of legends that defined the village's relationship with the natural world. In the wake of the leopard encounter, the role of the village elders became even more prominent. Their wisdom and experience were crucial in guiding the community through challenges, both old and new. Among these elders, Nnamdi, Mama Adaeze, and a few others were particularly respected for their knowledge and their ability to navigate the complexities of life in the village. The younger generation often sought the counsel of the elders, especially when faced with difficult decisions. One such occasion arose when Eze, one of Okonkwo's younger sons, found himself in a dilemma. Eze was a talented farmer and had recently been offered a piece of land at the edge of the village, near the forest. The land was fertile, but its proximity to the leopard's territory made it a risky choice. Unsure of what to do, Eze decided to seek the advice of Nnamdi, who had always been a mentor to him. Nnamdi welcomed Eze into his hut, offering him a seat and a bowl of fresh palm wine. "Eze, my son," Nnamdi began, "I see the worry in your eyes. Tell me, what troubles you?" Eze explained his situation, detailing the offer of the land and his concerns about its location. "The land is good, Baba Nnamdi," he said, "but I fear the leopards. I do not wish to bring danger to my family or the village." Nnamdi listened carefully, nodding as Eze spoke. After a moment of contemplation, he shared his thoughts. "Eze, the land you speak of is indeed valuable, and such opportunities are rare. But you are wise to consider the risks. The leopards are creatures of habit. They respect those who respect them." He paused, taking a sip of palm wine. "If you choose to farm this land, you must do so with caution and respect for the leopard's territory. Build strong fences and be vigilant. But also, do not live in fear. The leopards do not seek to harm us unless we threaten them. Live in harmony with the land and its creatures, and you will find that they, too, will respect your boundaries." Eze took Nnamdi's words to heart. He decided to accept the land and carefully planned how he would cultivate it while ensuring the safety of his family and livestock. He followed Nnamdi's advice, building sturdy fences and keeping a watchful eye on the forest. Over time, Eze's farm flourished, and he became known for his ability to work the land without disturbing the delicate balance with nature. Nnamdi's wisdom had not only helped Eze make a sound decision, but also reinforced the importance of respect and coexistence with the natural world, a lesson that would be passed down to future generations. The seasons turned, and with the rains came a bountiful harvest. The fields of the Okonkwo family and the entire village were filled with golden yams, plump cassava, and vibrant vegetables. The success of the harvest brought a sense of pride and joy, for it was a testament to the hard work of the villagers and their ability to overcome the challenges of the past year. To celebrate, the village prepared for the annual harvest dance, a time-honored tradition that brought everyone together in a grand celebration of life abundance, and community. The harvest dance was not just a celebration of the crops, but also a tribute to the ancestors who were believed to have blessed the land and guided the hands of the farmers. The Okonkwo family, being one of the most prominent in the village, played a central role in organizing the festivities. Each member had a task, from preparing food to decorating the village square. The women spent days cooking, making sure that there was enough food to feed everyone who would attend. The men worked on setting up a large bonfire, where the dancing would take place under the stars. But you are wise to consider the risks. The leopards are creatures of habit. They respect those who respect them. He paused, taking a sip of palm wine. If you choose to farm this land, you must do so with caution and respect for the leopard's territory. Build strong fences and be vigilant, but also do not live in fear. The leopards do not seek to harm us unless we threaten them. Live in harmony with the land and its creatures, and you will find that they, too, will respect your boundaries. Ez took Nnamdi's words to heart. He decided to accept the land and carefully planned how he would cultivate it while ensuring the safety of his family and livestock. He followed Nnamdi's advice, building sturdy fences and keeping a watchful eye on the forest. Over time, Ez's farm flourished, and he became known for his ability to work the land without disturbing the delicate balance with nature. Nnamdi's wisdom had not only helped Eze make a sound decision, but also reinforced the importance of respect and coexistence with the natural world, a lesson that would be passed down to future generations. The seasons turned, and with the rains came a bountiful harvest. The fields of the Okonkwo family and the entire village were filled with golden yams, plump cassava, and vibrant vegetables. The success of the harvest brought a sense of pride and joy, for it was a testament to the hard work of the villagers and their ability to overcome the challenges of the past year. To celebrate, the village prepared for the annual harvest dance, a time-honored tradition that brought everyone together in a grand celebration of life, abundance, and community. The harvest dance was not just a celebration of the crops, but also a tribute to the ancestors who were believed to have blessed the land and guided the hands of the farmers. The Okonkwo family, being one of the most prominent in the village, played a central role in organizing the festivities. Each member had a task, from preparing food to decorating the village square. The women spent days cooking, making sure that there was enough food to feed everyone who would attend. The men worked on setting up a large bonfire, where the dancing would take place under the stars. Mama Adeza, despite her age, was particularly excited about the harvest dance. She had always been a lover of music and movement, and she looked forward to seeing her children and grandchildren dance in celebration. She was also known for her storytelling, and she planned to share a special story with the village during the event. As the sun set on the evening of the harvest dance, the village square was a sight to behold. Colorful lanterns hung from trees, casting a warm glow over the gathering. The air was filled with the sound of drums, flutes, and the rhythmic clapping of hands. People dressed in their finest traditional attire, adorned with beads, cowries, and feathers, ready to dance the night away. The dance began with the younger children, who performed lively and joyful steps that had been taught to them by the elders. Their movements were full of energy and enthusiasm, reflecting the innocence and joy of youth. The village cheered them on, clapping in time with the music. Next came the young men and women, who performed more complex dances that told stories of love, bravery, and the connection to the land. Their movements were graceful yet powerful, a blend of tradition and personal expression. Among them was Eze, who danced with a sense of pride and gratitude for the blessings of the harvest and the wisdom of the elders that had guided him. As the night wore on, the elders joined in, their movements slower but no less meaningful. They danced with a sense of reverence, each step a tribute to the ancestors and the land that sustained them. Mama Adezi, though frail, took to the dance floor with a dignity that inspired all who watched. Her presence was a reminder of the resilience and strength that had carried the family through many hardships. At the height of the celebration, the drums slowed, and Mama Adazi stepped forward to address the gathering. The crowd quieted, eager to hear the words of the beloved matriarch. "My children," she began, her voice strong despite her years, "tonight we dance in celebration of the harvest, but we also dance in gratitude for the rain that has fallen, for the crops that have grown, and for the unity that has brought us together. And just soil and plants, it is the heart of our community, the connection to our ancestors, and the promise of our future. As long as we work together, respect each other," and she paused, looking around at the faces of her family and the villagers. "This land is more the at honor, the spirits of those who came before us. We will continue to thrive." The harvest dance, the village square, was a sight to behold. Colorful lanterns hung from trees, casting a warm glow over the gathering. The air was filled with the sound of drums, flutes, and the rhythmic clapping of hands. Est in their finest traditional attire, adorned with beads, cowries, and feathers, ready to dance the night away. Their movements were full of energy and enthusiasm, reflecting the innocence and joy of youth. The village cheered them on, clapping in time with the music. Next came the young men and women, who performed more complex dances that told stories of love, bravery, and the connection to the land. Their movements were graceful yet powerful, a blend of tradition and personal expression. Among them was Eze, who danced with a sense of pride and gratitude for the blessings of the harvest and the wisdom of the elders that had guided him. As the night wore on, the elders joined in, their movements slower but no less meaningful. They danced with a sense of reverence, each step a tribute to the ancestors and the land that sustained them. Mama Adazi, though frail, took to the dance floor with a dignity that inspired all who watched. Her presence was a reminder of the resilience and strength that had carried the family through many hardships. At the height of the celebration, the drums slowed, and Mama Adazi stepped forward to address the gathering. The crowd quieted, eager to hear the words of the beloved matriarch. "My children," she began, her voice strong despite her years, "tonight we dance in celebration of the harvest, but we also dance in gratitude for the rain that has fallen, for the crops that have grown, and for the unity that has brought us together." She paused, looking around at the faces of her family and the villagers. "This land is more than just soil and plants. It is the heart of our community, the connection to our ancestors, and the promise of our future. As long as we work together, respect each other, and honor the spirits of those who came before us, we will continue to thrive." The villagers responded with applause and cheers, moved by her words. Mama Adaza then began to tell a story, one that had been passed down through generations. A story about a young hunter who, with the guidance of his ancestors, overcame a great challenge and brought prosperity to his village. The story was filled with lessons about courage, respect, and the importance of listening to the wisdom of the elders. As she finished, the drummers picked up the beat once more, and the dancing resumed, even more joyful than before. The night was filled with laughter, music, and the sounds of feet pounding the earth, as the village celebrated not just the harvest, but the bond that united them all. While the Okonkwo family and the village rejoiced in the success of the harvest, not everyone was content with the blessings they had received. Among the family was a man named Nwafor, one of Uchena's grandsons. Nwafor had always been ambitious, but his ambition often crossed into greed. He was never satisfied with what he had, always wanting more wealth, more land, and more power. During the harvest season, Nwafor noticed that his cousin, Chibuzo, had an especially abundant yield. Chibuzo had worked hard, cultivating his land with care and dedication, and his efforts had paid off. But instead of congratulating his cousin, Nwafor felt a burning envy. Driven by greed, Nwafor hatched a plan to take some of Chibuzo's harvest for himself. He convinced himself that it was only fair since they were family, and he deserved a share of the bounty. One night, under the cover of darkness, Nwafor sneaked into Chibuzo's fields and began to harvest the yams, loading them into baskets he had brought with him. As he worked, Nwafor was so focused on his task that he didn't notice the sound of footsteps approaching. It was Chibuzo, who had become suspicious after noticing some of his yams missing in previous days. He had decided to keep watch over his fields that night and had caught Nwafor red-handed. "Nwafor!" Chibuzo called out, his voice filled with shock and anger. "What do you think you're doing?" Caught off guard, Nwafor stammered, trying to come up with an excuse. But the evidence was clear. His hands were dirty, and the baskets were full of stolen yams. Chibuzo's heart ached, not just because of the theft, but because it was his own cousin who had betrayed him. He had always trusted Nwafor, and this betrayal cut deep. "You have brought shame upon yourself and this family," Chibuzo said, his voice heavy with disappointment. "We have all worked hard for this harvest, and instead of being grateful for what you have let greed consume you." Realizing that he had been caught, Nwafor fell to his knees, begging for forgiveness. But Chibuzo knew that this was not a matter that could be easily forgiven. He decided to bring the matter before the elders, believing that they should be the ones to decide how to deal with Nwafor's actions. The next day, the family and the village elders gathered to discuss the matter. Nwafor stood before them, his head bowed in shame as Chibuzo recounted what had happened. The elders listened carefully, their faces stern as they considered the situation. After a long silence, Nnamdi, the head of the council, spoke. "Nwafor, your actions have not only harmed your cousin, but have brought dishonor to this family. Greed is like a sickness. It grows and spreads, consuming everything in its path. If we do not stop it now, it will destroy us all." He paused, looking at Nwafor with a mix of sadness and resolve. "As punishment, you will return twice the amount of yams you have stolen to Chibuzo. Furthermore, you will work in his fields for the next planting season without any compensation. Let this serve as a reminder that greed has no place in our community." Nwafor accepted his punishment, knowing he had no choice. The weight of his greed and the shame it brought to his family were heavy burdens to bear. But he hoped that through his actions, he could begin to make amends. The incident served as a lesson to the entire village, reinforcing the importance of honesty, hard work, and contentment. The elders reminded the people that true wealth was not measured by how much one had, but by the strength of one's character and the love and respect of one's community. One afternoon, as the village buzzed with activity, word spread that a visitor was approaching from the city. This news caused quite a stir, for it was not often that someone from the bustling urban world ventured into their remote and quiet village. The visitor was said to be one of Okonkwo's grandsons, Chinedu, who had left the village years ago to seek his fortune in the city. Chinedu had always been different from the other grandchildren. While most were content to stay close to home, farming the land and following the traditions of their ancestors, Chinedu had been restless. He had dreams of a life beyond the village, filled with the excitement and opportunities that only the city could offer. And so, one day, he had packed his belongings and left, promising to return one day when he had made a name for himself. Years had passed since then, and the village had heard little from him. Some wondered if he had forgotten his roots, while others believed he was working hard to build a better life. But now, Chinedu was returning, and the village was eager to see what had become of him. When Chinedu arrived, he was almost unrecognizable. He had grown taller, his frame leaner and more muscular, and he wore the fine clothes of a city man. He arrived in a car, something many of the villagers had never seen before, its shiny exterior glistening in the sunlight. Children gathered around, their eyes wide with wonder, as Chinedu stepped out and greeted his family. There were tears of joy as he embraced his parents and siblings, who had missed him dearly. The elders, too, welcomed him back, pleased to see that he had not forgotten his family despite his years away. But as they gathered around him, they couldn't help but notice a certain distance in his eyes, a weariness that had not been there before. That evening, a feast was held in Chinedu's honor. The women prepared the best dishes, and the men brought out palm wine to celebrate his return. As they ate and drank, Chinedu shared stories of his life in the city. He spoke of the tall buildings that reached the sky, the endless noise of traffic, and the fast pace of life that never seemed to slow down. But as he talked, the villagers began to sense that Chinedu's stories were not just filled with excitement, but also with a certain sadness. He spoke of the loneliness he felt in the city, where everyone was too busy to know their neighbors. He talked about the struggles of finding honest work, the deceit he had encountered, and the longing for the peace and simplicity of the village. Despite his successes, Chinedu had discovered that life in the city was not as he had imagined. He had missed the warmth of family, the comfort of familiar faces, and the sense of belonging that came with living in the village. The city had given him wealth and status, but it had also taken something from him, his connection to his roots. As the night wore on, Chinedu fell silent, lost in thought. Mama Adeze, who had been listening quietly, finally spoke. "My son," she said, her voice gentle, "the city may offer many things, but it cannot give you the peace that comes from knowing who you are and where you come from. No matter how far you go, never forget the soil that nurtured you." Her words struck a chord with Chinedu, and he nodded, realizing the truth in them. He had gained much, but he had also lost sight of what truly mattered. In that moment, he made a decision. He would not stay in the city forever. He would return to the village, to his family, and to the life that had once brought him so much joy. The next evening, as the family gathered around the fire, Mama Adeze decided to share a story from her own childhood. The younger children, eager for another of her captivating tales, settled in close, their eyes wide with anticipation. Tonight's story was about two of the most cunning creatures in the animal kingdom, the hyena and the tortoise. Long ago, Mama Adeze began, in a village much like ours, there lived a hyena who was known for his greed and trickery. He was always looking for ways to take what did not belong to him, using his strength and sharp teeth to intimidate others. But there was one creature in the village who was not afraid of the hyena, the tortoise. The tortoise was small and slow, but he was also clever and wise. He knew that while the hyena was strong, he lacked the patience and cunning that often brought true success. One day, the hyena heard that the villagers were planning a great feast, with plenty of food for everyone. His mouth watered at the thought of all the meat and sweet fruits he could devour. But he also knew that the villagers would not be happy to see him there, for he had stolen from them many times before. So the hyena came up with a plan. He decided to disguise himself as a harmless old woman, hoping that the villagers would not recognize him and would let him join the feast. He put on a tattered shawl and covered his face, then set off for the village. But as he approached, the tortoise saw him and immediately knew what the hyena was up to. The tortoise decided to teach the hyena a lesson, one that he would not soon forget. The tortoise approached the hyena and greeted him warmly. "Good evening, grandmother," he said, pretending to be fooled by the disguise. "I see you are on your way to the feast. May I walk with you?" The hyena, thinking that his disguise had worked, agreed. As they walked, the tortoise began to talk about the feast, describing all the delicious food that would be there. "But grandmother," the tortoise said, "there is one thing you must know. The villagers have made a special rule for this feast. Anyone who wishes to eat must first sing a song. They say it helps to bring joy to the occasion." The hyena, who was a terrible singer, became worried. He had not counted on having to sing. But the tortoise assured him that it would be easy. "Just sing a simple tune," the tortoise suggested. "I'm sure the villagers will love it." About two of the most cunning creatures in the animal kingdom, the hyena and the tortoise. Long ago, Mama Adeze began, in a village much like ours, there lived a hyena who was known for his greed and trickery. He was always looking for ways to take what did not belong to him, using his strength and sharp teeth to intimidate others. But there was one creature in the village who was not afraid of the hyena, the tortoise. The tortoise was small and slow, but he was also clever and wise. He knew that while the hyena was strong, he lacked the patience and cunning that often brought true success. One day, the hyena heard that the villagers were planning a great feast, with plenty of food for everyone. His mouth watered at the thought of all the meat and sweet fruits he could devour. But he also knew that the villagers would not be happy to see him there, for he had stolen from them many times before. So, the hyena came up with a plan. He decided to disguise himself as a harmless old woman, hoping that the villagers would not recognize him and would let him join the feast. He put on a tattered shawl and covered his face, then set off for the village. But as he approached, the tortoise saw him and immediately knew what the hyena was up to. The tortoise decided to teach the hyena a lesson, one that he would not soon forget. The tortoise approached the hyena and greeted him warmly. "Good evening, grandmother," he said, pretending to be fooled by the disguise. "I see you are on your way to the feast. May I walk with you?" The hyena, thinking that his disguise had worked, agreed. As they walked, the tortoise began to talk about the feast, describing all the delicious food that would be there. "But grandmother," the tortoise said, "there is one thing you must know. The villagers have made a special rule for this feast. Anyone who wishes to eat must first sing a song. They say it helps to bring joy to the occasion." The hyena, who was a terrible singer, became worried. He had not counted on having to sing, but the tortoise assured him that it would be easy. "Just sing a simple tune," the tortoise suggested. "I'm sure the villagers will love it." When they arrived at the feast, the villagers were indeed surprised to see the old woman, but they welcomed her warmly, not realizing it was the hyena in disguise. As the tortoise had said, they asked the old woman to sing before she could eat. The hyena, now nervous, tried to sing, but his voice was rough and growling. The villagers immediately knew something was wrong. They looked closer and soon realized that the old woman was actually the greedy hyena trying to trick them. The villagers chased the hyena away, and he ran off into the forest, humiliated and hungry. The tortoise, however, was welcomed with open arms and enjoyed the feast, knowing that cleverness and honesty would always win over greed and deceit. As Mama Adizi finished the story, the children laughed and clapped, delighted by the cleverness of the tortoise and the comeuppance of the hyena. But the elders, who had listened just as intently, nodded in agreement with the deeper lesson of the tale. "Remember, my children," Mama Adizi said, "greed and deceit may bring temporary gain, but they will always lead to downfall in the end. It is better to be honest, even if it means having less, for true wealth lies in a good name and a clear conscience." The family and villagers took this lesson to heart, knowing that while the world was full of temptations, it was the choices they made that defined who they were and what they would leave behind for future generations. As the village enjoyed the festive atmosphere following the harvest dance and Chinedu's return, the weather took a sudden turn. Dark clouds gathered on the horizon, and a heavy storm was brewing. The once celebratory mood was overshadowed by the impending threat of rain and wind. The villagers had grown accustomed to the patterns of the seasons, and they knew that storms were a part of life in their land. However, this storm seemed fiercer than usual. The elders gathered to discuss the situation, concerned about the potential damage to their homes, crops, and livestock. The Okonkwo family, led by Okonkwo himself, took swift action to prepare for the storm. They reinforced the walls of their homes, secured their belongings, and ensured that their livestock were safely housed. Mama Adeza, despite her age, worked alongside her family, showing no signs of slowing down. Her presence was a source of strength and reassurance to everyone. Now nervous, tried to sing, but his voice was rough and growling. The villagers immediately knew something was wrong. They looked closer and soon realized that the old woman was actually the greedy hyena trying to trick them. The villagers chased the hyena away, and he ran off into the forest, humiliated and hungry. The tortoise, however, was welcomed with open arms and enjoyed the feast, knowing that cleverness and honesty would always win over greed and deceit. As Mama Adeza finished the story, the children laughed and clapped, delighted by the cleverness of the tortoise and the comeuppance of the hyena. But the elders, who had listened just as intently, nodded in agreement with the deeper lesson of the tale. "Remember, my children," Mama Adizi said, "greed and deceit may bring temporary gain, but they will always lead to downfall in the end. It is better to be honest, even if it means having less, for true wealth lies in a good name and a clear conscience." The family and villagers took this lesson to heart, knowing that while the world was full of temptations, it was the choices they made that defined who they were and what they would leave behind for future generations. As the village enjoyed the festive atmosphere following the harvest dance and Chinedu's return, the weather took a sudden turn. Dark clouds gathered on the horizon, and a heavy storm was brewing. The once celebratory mood was overshadowed by the impending threat of rain and wind. The villagers had grown accustomed to the patterns of the seasons, and they knew that storms were a part of life in their land. However, this storm seemed fiercer than usual. The elders gathered to discuss the situation, concerned about the potential damage to their homes, crops, and livestock. The Okonkwo family, led by Okonkwo himself, took swift action to prepare for the storm. They reinforced the walls of their homes, secured their belongings, and ensured that their livestock were safely housed. Mama Adazi, despite her age, worked alongside her family, showing no signs of slowing down. Her presence was a source of strength and reassurance to everyone. As the storm approached, the wind howled and the rain began to pour in torrents. The villagers huddled together in their homes, listening to the storm rage outside. The sound of the rain pounding on the rooftops was deafening, and the flashes of lightning illuminated the night sky with an eerie glow. Inside the Okonkwo home, the family gathered around the fire, seeking warmth and comfort. Chinedu, who had been accustomed to city life, was struck by the intensity of the storm. He had never experienced such a force of nature up close, and found himself feeling both awe and trepidation. The children, though frightened, looked to their elders for reassurance. Mama Adaza, with her usual calm and wisdom, began to tell a story to distract them from the storm. Her voice was steady, a soothing balm against the tumult outside. Many years ago, she began, there was a village that was blessed with a beautiful river. This river provided the people with fresh water and fertile land. But one year, the rains came too heavily, and the river swelled beyond its banks, threatening to flood the entire village. The people were frightened, for they had never seen the river so angry. They prayed and made sacrifices, hoping to appease the spirits and prevent the flood. But the river continued to rise, and it seemed that their prayers would go unanswered. In the midst of this crisis, an old woman came to the village. She was wise and had lived through many storms. She told the villagers that the river was not their enemy, but a powerful force that needed to be respected. The river's anger is not meant to harm us, she said. It is a reminder of the balance of nature. We must adapt and find a way to coexist with this force. The villagers listened to her words and began to build barriers to protect their homes and fields. They worked together, their efforts guided by the old woman's wisdom. As they labored, they discovered that their cooperation and respect for the river allowed them to survive the flood. When the waters finally receded, the village was changed. They had learned the importance of living in harmony with nature and the strength that came from working together. And from that day on, they treated the river with even greater reverence, knowing that it was both a source of life and a reminder of their place in the world. With an eerie glow, inside the Okonkwo home, the family gathered around the fire, seeking warmth and comfort. Chinedu, who had been accustomed to city life, was struck by the intensity of the storm. He had never experienced such a force of nature up close and found himself feeling both awe and trepidation. The children, though frightened, looked to their elders for reassurance. Mama Adaza, with her usual calm and wisdom, began to tell a story to distract them from the storm. Her voice was steady, a soothing balm against the tumult outside. Many years ago, she began, there was a village that was blessed with a beautiful river. This river provided the people with fresh water and fertile land. But one year, the rains came too heavily, and the river swelled beyond its banks, threatening to flood the entire village. The people were frightened, for they had never seen the river so angry. They prayed and made sacrifices, hoping to appease the spirits and prevent the flood. But the river continued to rise, and it seemed that their prayers would go unanswered. In the midst of this crisis, an old woman came to the village. She was wise and had lived through many storms. she told the villagers that the river was not their enemy, but a powerful force that needed to be respected. "The river's anger is not meant to harm us," she said. "It is a reminder of the balance of nature. We must adapt and find a way to coexist with this force." The villagers listened to her words and began to build barriers to protect their homes and fields. They worked together, their efforts guided by the old woman's wisdom. As they labored, they discovered that their cooperation and respect for the river allowed them to survive the flood. When the waters finally receded, the village was changed. They had learned the importance of living in harmony with nature and the strength that came from working together. And from that day on, they treated the river with even greater reverence, knowing that it was both a source of life and a reminder of their place in the world. As Mama Adaisy concluded her story, the storm outside began to abate. The wind died down and the rain lessened to a gentle drizzle. The villagers, though weary, felt a renewed sense of hope and resilience. The story had reminded them of their strength and their ability to overcome challenges by working together and respecting the forces of nature. With the storm now past, the village emerged to assess the damage. The fields were flooded, and some homes had sustained minor damage. But overall, the community had fared well. The storm had tested their preparation and their unity, but it had also reinforced their resilience and their ability to weather any storm. Okonkwo and his family led the effort to repair and restore their homes and fields. The children, eager to help, worked alongside the adults, learning the importance of hard work and teamwork. Chinedu, despite his city experiences, found himself fully immersed in the recovery efforts, lending his hands and skills to help his family and neighbors. As the village worked together, they discovered that the storm had also brought some unexpected benefits. The heavy rains had replenished the soil, making it more fertile for future planting. The fields, though initially flooded, would soon be ready for the next planting season, promising a bountiful harvest. During the cleanup, the villagers gathered to share their stories of the storm and their experiences. The tales were a mix of fear and relief, but they all underscored the strength and solidarity of the community. The elders used the opportunity to remind everyone of the lessons learned, the importance of preparedness, respect for nature, and the power of unity. In the weeks that followed, the village began to rebuild and renew. The fields were tended to, and the homes were repaired. The atmosphere was one of collective optimism and determination. The storm had been a powerful reminder of the unpredictability of life, but it had also shown the village's strength and ability to adapt. Chinedu, having experienced the storm's aftermath firsthand, reflected on his journey. He realized that while the city had offered him many opportunities, it had also made him forget the simple yet profound lessons of his childhood. The village, with its resilience and sense of community, had given him a new perspective on what truly mattered. As the sun rose over the freshly cleaned village, the people gathered for a Thanksgiving ceremony. It was a time to express gratitude for their safety, their recovery, and the support they had given each other. The ceremony was marked by songs, dances, and prayers, celebrating their unity and the lessons learned from the storm. Minor damage, but overall, the community had fared well. The storm had tested their preparation and their unity, but it had also reinforced their resilience and their ability to weather any storm. Okonkwo and his family led the effort to repair and restore their homes and fields. The children, eager to help, worked alongside the adults, learning the importance of hard work and teamwork. Chinedu, despite his city experiences, found himself fully immersed in the recovery efforts, lending his hands and skills to help his family and neighbors. As the village worked together, they discovered that the storm had also brought some unexpected benefits. The heavy rains had replenished the soil, making it more fertile for future planting. The fields, though initially flooded, would soon be ready for the next planting season, promising a bountiful harvest. During the cleanup, the villagers gathered to share their stories of the storm and their experiences. The tales were a mix of fear and relief, but they all underscored the strength and solidarity of the community. The elders used the opportunity to remind everyone of the lessons learned, the importance of preparedness, respect for nature, and the power of unity. In the weeks that followed, the village began to rebuild and renew. The fields were tended to, and the homes were repaired. The atmosphere was one of collective optimism and determination. The storm had been a powerful reminder of the unpredictability of life, but it had also shown the village's strength and ability to adapt. Chinedu, having experienced the storm's aftermath firsthand, reflected on his journey. He realized that while the city had offered him many opportunities, it had also made him forget the simple yet profound lessons of his childhood. The village, with its resilience and sense of community, had given him a new perspective on what truly mattered. As the sun rose over the freshly cleaned village, the people gathered for a Thanksgiving ceremony. It was a time to express gratitude for their safety, their recovery, and the support they had given each other. The ceremony was marked by songs, dances, and prayers, celebrating their unity and the lessons learned from the storm. The village returned to its rhythms, but the experience of the storm had left a lasting impression. It had reinforced the values of respect, hard work, and the importance of staying connected to one's roots. The community continued to thrive, guided by the wisdom of their elders and the strength they found in each other. As the days grew longer and the village continued to recover from the storm, preparations began for the annual Festival of Lights. This festival was one of the most anticipated events of the year, a time when the village celebrated the end of the rainy season and the return of clear skies. The Festival of Lights was a joyful occasion, marked by lanterns and candles illuminating the village. The streets and homes were adorned with colorful decorations, and the air was filled with the sounds of music and laughter. The festival was a celebration of light, hope, and the promise of new beginnings. Okonkwo's family played a central role in the festival preparations. They worked tirelessly to ensure that everything was perfect, from crafting lanterns to preparing special dishes. Mama Adeze, with her deep knowledge of traditions, shared stories and songs that had been passed down through generations. On the evening of the festival, the village gathered to witness the lighting of the great bonfire in the center of the village square. The fire blazed brightly, symbolizing the triumph of light over darkness and the strength of the community in overcoming challenges. As the fire crackled and the lanterns were lit, the villagers began to dance and sing. The music was lively and infectious, and everyone joined in, celebrating the end of the storm and the beginning of a new season. The children ran through the streets, their laughter mingling with the sounds of drums and flutes. Chinedu, now fully embraced by the village, found himself swept up in the festivities. He danced with his family and neighbors, his heart light with joy and gratitude. The festival was a reminder of the simple pleasures of life and the importance of being connected to one's community. As the night progressed, the villagers gathered around the fire for storytelling. Mama Adeze took her place at the center, her voice carrying the stories of their ancestors. The stories were filled with wisdom, humor, and lessons about life, nature, and the spirit of the village. One story she told was about a young girl who, despite her small size, was able to light the way for her village during a time of darkness. Her bravery and determination had shown that even the smallest person could make a significant impact. The story resonated with everyone, emphasizing the importance of courage and the belief that each person had a role to play in their community. As the festival drew to a close, the villagers gathered to offer thanks for the blessings they had received and to express their hopes for the future. The Festival of Lights was not just a celebration, but a time for reflection and renewal, a chance to come together and honor their shared values and traditions. The village went to bed that night with a renewed sense of hope and unity. The Festival of Lights had been a fitting end to a challenging period, and the village was ready to face the future with optimism and strength. The storm had tested them, but the festival had reminded them of the light that shone within their community and the resilience that would carry them through whatever lay ahead. With the village regaining its vibrancy after the storm and the Festival of Lights, a new project began to take shape: a schoolhouse for the children. The village had long recognized the importance of education, and the elders, including Okonkwo, believed it was time to invest in a formal learning space to enhance the future of their young ones. Chinedu, inspired by his experiences in the city, took a particular interest in this project. He saw firsthand the impact that education had on his own life and was determined to ensure that the children of his village would have the same opportunities. He pledged to support the building of the schoolhouse, both financially and through his connections with former colleagues who had promised to donate educational materials. The villagers rallied together to begin the construction. Men and women worked side by side, using locally sourced materials to build the schoolhouse. The community's dedication was evident in their efforts. They worked tirelessly, often into the night, driven by the belief that this was a crucial step for their future. Mama Adazi, ever the storyteller, took it upon herself to teach the children while the schoolhouse was under construction. She shared stories not only for entertainment, but to instill values and knowledge. The children gathered around her, eager to learn about the world through her tales of bravery, wisdom, and tradition. As the walls of the schoolhouse began to rise, Chinedu returned to the city to gather more resources. He was determined to ensure that the schoolhouse would be well equipped, with books, writing materials, and basic supplies. His connections in the city, impressed by his dedication to his roots, provided generous donations to support the project. The day the schoolhouse was completed was marked by a grand celebration. The village came together to officially inaugurate the new building, and a special ceremony was held to honor those who contributed to its completion. The children were excited to see their new school and to begin their journey of learning in a proper setting. During the inauguration, Okonkwo spoke about the importance of education, emphasizing how it could open doors and shape the future. Education is the key to unlocking the potential within each of us, he said. It allows us to build upon the knowledge of our ancestors and to create a future that is better and brighter. Chinedu also addressed the crowd, sharing his personal experiences and the impact that education had on his life. His words inspired the villagers, especially the children, who saw him as a role model. He encouraged them to value their education and to strive for excellence, reminding them that their heritage and their dreams were intertwined. The schoolhouse quickly became a hub of activity. The children were eager to learn, and the village elders were proud to see their future generations taking their first steps into the world of formal education. Mama Adizi continued to play a role, combining her storytelling with the new curriculum, ensuring that the children would learn both practical knowledge and the rich traditions of their culture. As the year progressed, the village prepared for another important celebration, the Festival of the Moon. This festival was held to honor the lunar cycle and to give thanks for the light and guidance provided by the moon. It was a time of reflection, gratitude, and celebration, marked by various rituals and festivities. The Festival of the Moon was a time for the village to come together and appreciate the natural beauty and rhythms of their environment. The moon, a symbol of wisdom and change, was believed to have a profound influence on their lives. The festival celebrated this connection and offered a chance to reflect on the lessons learned throughout the year. Preparations for the festival began weeks in advance. The villagers decorated their homes in the village square with glowing lanterns and intricate patterns made from natural materials. Special foods were prepared, including traditional dishes and delicacies that were enjoyed during the festival. On the night of the festival, the village gathered in the square, where a large bonfire was lit. The fire represented the light of the moon and the warmth of community. The villagers dressed in their finest attire, adorned with moon-themed decorations, and prepared to participate in the various rituals and celebrations. Mama Adazi, with her deep knowledge of tradition, led the opening ceremony. She performed a ritual to honor the moon, offering prayers and thanks for its light and guidance. The villagers joined in, their voices united in a song of gratitude that echoed through the night. Following the ritual, the festival's activities began. There were dances performed under the light of the full moon, their movements graceful and synchronized. The dances told stories of the moon's influence on their lives and celebrated the harmony between nature and community. The children, who had recently started attending the new schoolhouse, participated in a special performance. They recited poems and sang songs they had learned about the moon and its significance. Their enthusiasm and talent were met with cheers and applause from their families and neighbors. As the night continued, the villagers enjoyed a feast of traditional foods and shared stories of their experiences throughout the year. The festival was a time of joy and reflection, as the community came together to celebrate their connection to the moon and to each other. Chinedu, who had returned to the village for the festival, was struck by the beauty and significance of the celebration. He marveled at how the village had maintained its traditions while embracing the changes brought by education and progress. The Festival of the Moon reminded him of the importance of staying connected to one's heritage while forging a path forward. As the festival drew to a close, Mama Adizi decided to share a story that had been a favorite among the villagers for many years. It was a story about a lost hunter and the lessons learned from his journey. The story was meant to offer guidance and reflection, and it was a fitting end to the Festival of the Moon. Long ago, Mama Adizi began, there was a skilled hunter named Obi. He was known throughout the land for his bravery and his ability to track and hunt the most elusive game. But despite his skills, Obi had one flaw. He was always in a hurry, never taking the time to fully appreciate the world around him. One day, Obi set out on a hunt in the dense forest. He was determined to find a rare and prized animal that had been seen in the area. He hurried through the forest, paying little attention to the signs of nature or the beauty of his surroundings. His only goal was to capture the elusive animal. As Obi ventured deeper into the forest, he became lost. The dense trees and unfamiliar terrain disoriented him, and he realized that he had no idea how to find his way back. He was alone, and his skills as a hunter were of no use in this situation. Desperate and exhausted, Obi stumbled upon an old woman who was gathering herbs in the forest. The old woman saw his distress and offered to help him. She guided him back to a familiar path, and along the way, shared her wisdom with him. The old woman told Obi that true wisdom and success did not come from rushing or focusing solely on one's goals. Instead, it came from taking the time to understand and appreciate the journey, to learn from the world around you, and to show respect for the gifts of nature. Obi listened to her words and realized that he had been so focused on his goal that he had lost sight of the journey and the beauty of the forest. He thanked the old woman and made a promise to himself to slow down and appreciate the world around him. When Obi finally returned to his village, he shared his experience with others. He spoke of the importance of taking time to observe and appreciate the journey, rather than just focusing on the destination. His story became a lesson for everyone, reminding them that true success and fulfillment come from a balanced approach to life. As Mama Adizi concluded the story, the villagers reflected on the lessons it held. The story of the lost hunter was a reminder of the value of patience, mindfulness, and respect for the journey of life. It encouraged them to take the time to appreciate the beauty and wisdom that surrounded them, rather than rushing toward their goals. The Festival of the Moon had brought the village closer together, reinforcing their connection to their traditions and each other. The story of the lost hunter was a fitting end to the celebration, reminding everyone of the importance of balance and perspective in their lives. The village had settled back into its peaceful rhythm following the Festival of the Moon. Life continued with the joyous hum of daily activities, and the children flourished in their new schoolhouse. However, one sunny morning, the tranquility of the village was disrupted by the arrival of an unexpected visitor. The visitor was a young man named Ikenna, who appeared to be in his early 20s. He arrived on horseback, wearing fine clothes and carrying a letter sealed with a distinctive crest. The villagers, unfamiliar with his appearance and the unusual mode of transport, gathered around him with curiosity and anticipation. Ikenna introduced himself as a messenger from a distant kingdom. He explained that he was sent on a mission to deliver a message to Okonkwo. The letter he carried was an official invitation to a grand event. the coronation of a new king in the neighboring kingdom. The news surprised Okonkwo and his family. They had heard of the neighboring kingdom and its traditions, but had never imagined being invited to such a significant occasion. The invitation was a great honor and an opportunity to strengthen ties with neighboring realms. Okonkwo, intrigued and honored, decided to accept the invitation. He saw it as a chance to build relationships and explore new opportunities for his village. Preparations began immediately for the journey, and the family worked together to ensure everything was in order. The villagers, excited by the prospect of a grand event, gathered to bid farewell to Okonkwo and his family. Chinedu, who had been deeply involved in the village's recent developments, decided to accompany them, eager to witness the event and see how other cultures celebrated their traditions. As Okonkwo, his family, and Chinedu set off for the neighboring kingdom, the village watched with pride and anticipation. The journey was long and filled with anticipation, and they were eager to see what awaited them at the coronation. Upon arriving at the neighboring kingdom, Okonkwo and his family were greeted with great ceremony. The kingdom was adorned with vibrant decorations, and the streets were lined with people in colorful attire. The atmosphere was one of festivity and grandeur, as the coronation ceremony was a major event for the entire region. The family was escorted to the royal palace, where they were shown to their seats among other distinguished guests. The palace was magnificent, with intricate carvings, luxurious fabrics, and an air of regal splendor. Okonkwo and his family were awestruck by the opulence and the warmth of their reception. The coronation ceremony was a grand affair, featuring elaborate rituals and performances. Musicians played traditional instruments, and dancers performed intricate routines, celebrating the transition of power with grace and flair. The new king, a young and charismatic leader, was crowned with great pomp and ceremony. Throughout the ceremony, Okonkwo observed the customs and traditions of the neighboring kingdom with great interest. He was struck by the similarities and differences between their own traditions and those of the new kingdom. The ceremony was a vivid display of the rich cultural tapestry that existed beyond their own village. During the event, Chinedu had the opportunity to interact with other guests and learn about the kingdom's achievements and innovations. He was impressed by the advancements in technology and infrastructure and began to think about how such knowledge could benefit his own village. The highlight of the coronation was a grand feast held in honor of the new king. The banquet hall was filled with a sumptuous array of dishes, showcasing the kingdom's culinary delights. The guests dined and socialized, sharing stories and forging new connections. Okonkwo, Mama Adesi, and Chinedu enjoyed the feast and the company of their fellow guests. They were able to engage in meaningful conversations and learn about the various cultures represented at the celebration. The experience was enriching and offered new perspectives on the world beyond their village. Following the coronation, the new king hosted a reception for his guests. This was an opportunity for him to personally thank them for their presence and support. Okonkwo and his family were invited to meet the king and offer their congratulations. During their audience with the king, Okonkwo expressed his admiration for the ceremony and the hospitality they had received. The king, impressed by Okonkwo's humility and wisdom, invited him to establish a lasting relationship between their two realms. The king presented Okonkwo and his family with a special gift, a beautifully crafted ceremonial sword, symbolizing the bond of friendship between their kingdoms. The gift was a gesture of goodwill and a sign of the mutual respect they had developed. In return, Okonkwo and his family offered gifts from their village, including handcrafted items and traditional artifacts. The exchange of gifts was a symbol of the new alliance and a promise of future cooperation and support. The reception also included a series of cultural performances and exhibitions, showcasing the diverse talents and traditions of the neighboring kingdom. The villagers from both realms participated in joint dances, music, and storytelling, celebrating their shared humanity and the connections that bound them together. Chinedu, having witnessed the potential for collaboration and mutual benefit, began to think about ways to incorporate the knowledge and skills he had observed into his own village. He envisioned new opportunities for trade, education, and cultural exchange that could enhance the lives of his fellow villagers. As Okonkwo, Mama Adeze, and Chinedu prepared to return home, they felt a deep sense of fulfillment and gratitude. The visit had been a success, and they had forged valuable connections that would benefit their village for years to come. The experience had broadened their horizons and strengthened their resolve to build a better future for their community. The journey back to the village was filled with excitement and anticipation. Okonkwo, Mama Adeze, and Chinedu discussed their experiences and the new insights they had gained. They were eager to share their knowledge and ideas with the villagers and explore ways to implement what they had learned. Upon their return, the village welcomed them with open arms. The news of their successful visit and the new alliance with the neighboring kingdom spread quickly, filling the community with pride and enthusiasm. The villagers gathered to hear about the trip and to celebrate the new opportunities that lay ahead. Chinedu took the lead in sharing his observations and ideas. He spoke about the advancements he had seen in the neighboring kingdom and how they could be applied to improve their own village. His suggestions included modernizing certain aspects of farming, enhancing educational methods, and exploring new trade opportunities. The village held a meeting to discuss Chinedu's ideas and to plan the next steps. The elders and community leaders listened attentively, recognizing the value of the knowledge Chinedu brought back. They were open to exploring new possibilities and incorporating innovative practices that could benefit the village. As the village worked on implementing the new ideas, Okonkwo and his family continued to strengthen the ties with the neighboring kingdom. They maintained regular communication and collaborated on various projects, fostering a spirit of cooperation and mutual respect. The schoolhouse, which had become a central part of the village, benefited from the new insights. The children were introduced to new subjects and learning methods, and the school became a place of innovation and growth. The village saw a rise in educational achievements and a greater sense of optimism for the future. The community also embraced new trade opportunities, exchanging goods and knowledge with the neighboring kingdom. This exchange led to an increase in prosperity and improved living standards for the villagers. As the village thrived and adapted to the changes, they remained grounded in their traditions and values. The lessons learned from their journey and the connections they had made were integrated into their daily lives, enriching their culture and strengthening their community. With the village flourishing and adapting to the new opportunities, Okonkwo, Mama Adeze, and Chinedu continued to reflect on the journey and the lessons they had learned. They understood that the knowledge they had gained was not just for their own benefit, but for the betterment of their entire community. One evening, as the sun set and the village prepared for another night, Mama Adeze gathered the children around the fire for one last story. It was a story about the legacy of wisdom and the importance of passing down knowledge to future generations. Long ago, Mama Adeze began, there was a wise elder who was known throughout the land for his profound knowledge and understanding. He had spent his life learning from the world around him and sharing his wisdom with others. As the elder grew older, he realized that his time on earth was drawing to a close. He wanted to ensure that his knowledge would continue to benefit others long after he was gone. So he gathered his children and grandchildren and told them of the great truths he had learned. He spoke of the importance of listening to the wisdom of the elders, respecting the traditions of their people, and embracing new knowledge with an open mind. He taught them that true wisdom was not just about acquiring knowledge, but about using it to make a positive impact on the world. Before he passed away, the elder entrusted his teachings to his family, instructing them to pass down his wisdom to future generations. He believed that by doing so, they would ensure that the legacy of knowledge and understanding would endure. The elder's family took his words to heart and continued to share his teachings with their children and grandchildren. The wisdom of the elder became a guiding light for their community, shaping their values and inspiring their actions. And so, Mama Adeze concluded, the legacy of wisdom lived on, guiding generations to come. It reminded them that knowledge was a gift to be cherished and shared, and that true wisdom lay in using that knowledge to build a better world. As the story ended, the children listened with rapt attention, absorbing the lesson of the elders' legacy. The story served as a reminder of the power and responsibility that came with knowledge. Mama Adeze's words were like a gentle breeze, carrying the wisdom of the past into the hearts of the young ones. The village, now thriving and enriched by its new connections and insights, took the elders' story to heart. Okonkwo, Mama Adeze, and Chinedu continued to lead by example, demonstrating how to blend tradition with innovation and how to use their newfound knowledge to uplift their community. In the days that followed, the village witnessed an exciting transformation. New programs were introduced at the schoolhouse, including practical skills workshops and cultural exchange programs. The children were not only learning from textbooks, but were also engaging with practical knowledge that had real-world applications. The elders continued to share their stories and wisdom, passing down traditions, while encouraging the younger generation to seek knowledge and make meaningful contributions. This balance between preserving heritage and embracing progress became a cornerstone of the village's ethos. Okonkwo took special care to maintain the relationships built with the neighboring kingdom. He regularly corresponded with their leaders, ensuring that the bonds of friendship remained strong. The exchange of ideas and resources led to new trade opportunities and collaborative projects that benefited both realms. Chinedu's entrepreneurial spirit inspired many in the village. He started a small business initiative that encouraged local craftsmanship and agricultural products to reach new markets. His efforts were not only profitable, but also provided employment and a sense of pride to the villagers. The village became a hub of cultural exchange and innovation, attracting visitors and scholars from neighboring regions. These interactions brought new ideas and perspectives, further enriching the community. Festivals and ceremonies continued to be celebrated with even greater enthusiasm, reflecting the vibrant and dynamic nature of the village. Despite the progress and prosperity, not everyone in the village embraced the changes with open arms. Some elders and traditionalists were resistant to the new ideas and practices introduced by Okonkwo, Mama Adeze, and Chinedu. They feared that modern influences might erode their cherished traditions and values. One evening, a gathering was called to address the concerns of those who felt uneasy about the rapid changes. The meeting was held in the village square, where the elders and community leaders came together to discuss the future of their village. Okonkwo addressed the crowd, acknowledging the concerns of the traditionalists. "Change can be challenging," he said, "but it is essential to remember that progress does not mean abandoning our roots. We must find a way to honor our traditions while embracing new opportunities." Mama Adeze, known for her wisdom and storytelling, shared a story to illustrate her point. There was once a great river that flowed through a land. It was known for its power and its ability to bring life to the land. However, as the river flowed, it encountered obstacles, boulders and fallen trees that blocked its path. The river did not stop or become discouraged. Instead, it flowed around the obstacles, finding new routes to continue its journey. In doing so, it nourished the land and brought prosperity to the people. The river knew that it could not simply stay the same. It had to adapt and evolve to fulfill its purpose. Her story resonated with the crowd. It highlighted the idea that adaptation was a natural part of life, and that embracing change did not mean forsaking one's identity. The river's journey symbolized the village's path, finding harmony between tradition and innovation. The elders, moved by Mama Adeze's story, and Okonkwo's thoughtful leaders. In doing so, it nourished the land and brought prosperity to the people. The river knew that it could not simply stay the same. It had to adapt and evolve to fulfill its purpose. Her story resonated with the crowd. It highlighted the idea that adaptation began to see the value in the changes. They agreed to work together to create a balance between preserving their cultural heritage and integrating new practices. To celebrate the newfound harmony and the successful integration of change, the village organized a festival of unity. The festival was designed to bring together all members of the community, old and young, traditionalists and progressives, to celebrate their shared values and achievements. The preparations for the festival were meticulous, with a focus on blending traditional and modern elements. The village square was adorned with decorations that reflected both old and new styles, symbolizing the unity of their diverse perspectives. The festival featured a variety of activities, including traditional dances, modern performances, and collaborative art projects. The community came together to showcase their talents and celebrate their collective spirit. There were also storytelling sessions, where Mama Adaisy shared tales that illustrated the importance of unity and cooperation. One of the highlights of the festival was a joint performance by the village's musicians and dancers. The performance combined traditional rhythms with contemporary beats, creating a fusion of old and new that captivated the audience. The success of the performance demonstrated how blending different influences could create something beautiful and meaningful. The feast was a grand affair, with dishes from various culinary traditions represented. The meal brought together flavors from the village's heritage and the neighboring kingdom, symbolizing the richness of their cultural exchange. As the festival came to a close, Okonkwo and Chinedu reflected on the journey they had undertaken. They saw how the village had embraced change while staying true to its roots. The Festival of Unity was a testament to the strength and resilience of their community. With the village thriving and the spirit of unity strong, life seemed to be moving smoothly. However, nature had its own way of reminding them of its power. A season of heavy rains and flooding tested the village's preparedness and resilience. The rains began with a gentle patter, but soon escalated into a relentless downpour. The rivers swelled, and the village's fields and homes were threatened by rising waters. The villagers, while accustomed to seasonal rains, found themselves facing a challenge unlike any they had encountered before. Okonkwo, Mama Adaisy, and Chinedu worked together to coordinate the village's response. They organized teams to reinforce the riverbanks, build drainage channels, and protect the most vulnerable areas. The community came together, displaying solidarity and determination in the face of the flooding. Despite their efforts, the floodwaters caused significant damage. Homes were affected, and crops were submerged. The immediate concern was ensuring the safety of the villagers and providing aid to those who were most affected. The village rallied around those in need, offering support and shelter. The elders and community leaders led efforts to assess the damage and plan for recovery. They drew on the wisdom of their ancestors and the knowledge gained from their recent experiences to navigate the crisis. Mama Adaisy, ever a source of comfort, gathered the villagers to share stories of past challenges and how they were overcome. Her tales of resilience and hope provided encouragement and reminded the villagers of their strength and resourcefulness. As the floodwaters receded, the village faced the task of rebuilding and recovering. The damage was significant, but the community's spirit remained unbroken. The villagers worked together to repair homes, replant crops, and restore their way of life. Okonkwo and Chinedu led initiatives to improve the village's infrastructure, drawing on the lessons learned from their experiences and the knowledge gained from their recent travels. They implemented new techniques for flood prevention and worked to enhance the village's resilience to future challenges. The rebuilding process was a testament to the village's strength and unity. The community came together, supporting one another through the difficulties and celebrating each small victory along the way. The spirit of collaboration and mutual support was evident in every effort made to restore their home. Mama Adaisy continued to play a crucial role in uplifting the community. She organized gatherings to share stories and offer guidance, helping the villagers find hope and motivation as they worked through the challenges. The experience of the flood and the subsequent rebuilding strengthened the bonds within the village. The villagers learned valuable lessons about preparedness, resilience, and the importance of working together in times of crisis. With the village recovering and life returning to a new normal, Okonkwo, Mama Adaisy, and Chinedu reflected on their journey. They had faced many challenges, but each one had contributed to their growth and development. As a community, the village had emerged from the trials stronger and more united than ever. The experiences of the past year had reinforced their commitment to preserving their heritage while embracing new opportunities. They had learned to balance tradition and innovation, finding harmony in their evolving journey. As the sun rose over the village, casting a warm glow over the land, Okonkwo and his family looked forward to the future with optimism and hope. The challenges they had faced had only strengthened their resolve to build a better life for themselves and future generations. The village continued to thrive, guided by the lessons learned and the wisdom passed down through the generations. The legacy of their journey was a testament to the power of unity, resilience, and the enduring strength of community. Mama Adaisy gathered the children once more for a final story before they drifted off to sleep. It was a story about the dawn of a new day, symbolizing the promise of a bright future and the endless possibilities that lay ahead. As the story came to a close, the children closed their eyes, dreaming of the adventures and lessons of the past, and the hopeful journey that awaited them in the days to come. The village, filled with the light of the rising sun, embraced the new dawn with gratitude and anticipation, ready to face whatever the future might bring. In the wake of the flood and the rebuilding efforts, the village continued to thrive, but the hardships had taken a toll on the people's health. The traditional remedies and local healers had managed the immediate needs, but it became clear that a more specialized approach was needed to address the lingering health issues. One day, a traveling healer arrived in the village. She was a woman named Nia, known far and wide for her expertise in both traditional and modern medicine. Nia had heard about the village's recent challenges and had come to offer her services and knowledge. The villagers greeted Nia with curiosity and hope. She set up a small clinic in the village square, where she began to see patients and offer treatments. Her presence was met with both excitement and skepticism, as some villagers were unfamiliar with her methods. Nia approached her work with compassion and dedication. She combined her knowledge of herbal medicine with modern medical practices, providing a holistic approach to healing. Her treatments brought relief to many, and her presence began to build trust within the community. Okonkwo and Chinedu recognized the value of Nisia's expertise and supported her efforts. They worked together to ensure that the clinic had the necessary resources and that Nia's work was integrated into the village's health practices. The collaboration between traditional and modern methods proved to be effective and well received. Mama Adaisy, ever the storyteller, shared tales of healers from the past with Nia, finding common ground between their approaches. Her stories highlighted the importance of knowledge and the role of healers in maintaining the well-being of the community. As Nia continued her work, the health of the villagers improved. Her treatments not only addressed physical ailments, but also provided emotional support, helping the community recover from the stress of the recent challenges. To celebrate the village's recovery and the positive impact of Nia's work, a festival of renewal was organized. The festival was an opportunity for the villagers to come together and celebrate their resilience, health, and the new possibilities that lay ahead. The festival was marked by a series of events and activities designed to honor the spirit of renewal and healing. The village square was decorated with vibrant colors and symbols of health and vitality. Traditional and modern music filled the air, creating an atmosphere of joy and celebration. Nia was honored at the festival with a special ceremony. The villagers expressed their gratitude for her contributions and welcomed her as a valued member of their community.
She was presented with a handcrafted gift, symbolizing the village's appreciation for her dedication and skill. The festival featured various activities, including health workshops, herbal medicine demonstrations, and traditional dances. The villagers participated eagerly, learning about new practices and enjoying the festivities. The workshops provided valuable information on maintaining health and well-being, further enriching the community's knowledge. Mama Adaisy continued to play a central role in the festival, sharing stories and organizing storytelling sessions for the children. Her tales of healing and renewal inspired the young ones and reinforced the importance of health and harmony in their lives. As the festival came to a close, the village felt a renewed sense of unity and hope. The celebrations were a testament to their strength and the positive changes that had emerged from their recent trials. The Festival of Renewal was a reminder of the power of community and the importance of embracing new opportunities. The positive changes in the village extended beyond health and recovery. The bonds between the neighboring kingdom and the village grew stronger, with ongoing collaborations and exchanges benefiting both realms. The friendships and alliances forged during the coronation continued to flourish. One day, a delegation from the neighboring kingdom arrived in the village. They were led by Prince Kofi, a charismatic leader who had taken a keen interest in the village's progress. The delegation was on a mission to strengthen ties and explore new opportunities for collaboration. Prince Kofi and his delegation were welcomed with great enthusiasm. The village prepared a grand feast in their honor, showcasing the best of their local cuisine and culture. The event was an opportunity to celebrate the friendship between the two realms and to discuss future projects and initiatives. During the visit, Prince Kofi and Okonkwo engaged in discussions about mutual interests and goals. They explored ways to further enhance trade, cultural exchange, and collaborative projects. The dialogue was productive and highlighted the potential for continued growth and prosperity. The visit also included cultural performances and joint activities. The village and the delegation participated in traditional dances, music, and storytelling, further strengthening their bond and understanding. The shared experiences and celebrations fostered a sense of camaraderie and mutual respect. As the delegation prepared to leave, Prince Kofi expressed his appreciation for the warm hospitality and the fruitful discussions. He extended an invitation for Okonkwo and his family to visit the neighboring kingdom again, reinforcing the commitment to maintaining and expanding their relationship. Amidst the thriving village life and the ongoing collaborations, a familiar figure returned to the village, Obinna, the prodigal son who had left to seek his fortune many years ago. His return was met with mixed emotions, as his departure had been a source of both hope and uncertainty. Obinna arrived with a sense of humility and gratitude. He had traveled far and achieved success in various ventures, but he had also faced numerous challenges along the way. His return was an opportunity for him to reconnect with his roots and contribute to the village's growth. The villagers welcomed Obinna with open arms. They were eager to hear his stories and learn from his experiences. Obinna shared tales of his travels, his successes, and the lessons he had learned. His stories were filled with wisdom and insights that resonated with the community. Okonkwo, recognizing the value of Obinna's experiences, offered him a role in the village's development efforts. Obinna was given the responsibility of overseeing new projects and initiatives, drawing on his knowledge and skills to further enhance the village's progress. Obinna's return also provided an opportunity for reconciliation and healing. He sought to make amends for any past grievances and to rebuild relationships that had been strained during his absence. His efforts were met with understanding and support from the community. With Obinna's return and his involvement in village development, new opportunities emerged for growth and prosperity. The village began to see the fruits of their collective efforts and the positive impact of their collaborations. Obinna spearheaded several new projects, including agricultural innovations and trade expansions. His experience and connections helped the village explore new markets and increase its economic opportunities. The village's prosperity grew, and the standard of living improved for many. The children of the village, inspired by the success stories of their elders, continued to excel in their studies and pursuits. The schoolhouse thrived with new programs and initiatives that encouraged the children to dream big and strive for excellence.
The bonds of friendship with the neighboring kingdom continued to strengthen, with ongoing exchanges and collaborations benefiting both realms. The mutual support and cooperation fostered a sense of unity and shared purpose. The village's progress was celebrated with a grand festival of prosperity. The festival featured displays of the village's achievements, including new agricultural products, crafts, and innovations. The event was a reflection of the village's growth and the positive changes that had taken place. As the festival came to a close, Okonkwo, Mama Adaeze, Chinedu, and Obina stood together, reflecting on their journey and the promise of a bright future. The village had overcome challenges, embraced change, and built a strong foundation for continued success. As the village enjoyed its prosperity and growth, the importance of giving back to the community became a central focus. The villagers, grateful for their success and the support they had received, decided to initiate a series of charitable efforts to support those in need. The community organized a fund for supporting local projects, including education, healthcare, and infrastructure. The goal was to ensure that the benefits of their prosperity were shared with everyone and that the village continued to thrive as a united and supportive community. Okonkwo and his family led by example, contributing to the fund and encouraging others to do the same. They established a community outreach program that focused on helping neighboring villages and providing assistance to those facing hardships. The village also hosted charity events, including fairs and auctions, where the proceeds went to support various causes. The events brought the community together, fostering a spirit of generosity and collaboration. Mama Adaeze played a crucial role in organizing storytelling sessions for the children, emphasizing the values of kindness and empathy. Her stories highlighted the importance of giving and the positive impact it could have on individuals and the community. The spirit of giving extended beyond the village as the community reached out to other regions and contributed to larger charitable initiatives. The village's efforts were recognized and appreciated, strengthening its reputation as a caring and compassionate community. As the village continued to prosper and grow, the wisdom of the ancestors remained a guiding force. The elders and leaders of the community continued to draw on the teachings and traditions passed down through generations. One evening, a gathering was held to honor the wisdom of the ancestors and to reflect on the lessons learned from the past. The village square was adorned with symbols of heritage and tradition, and the air was filled with a sense of reverence and respect. Elders shared stories of the past, recounting the trials and triumphs that had shaped the community. Their tales served as a reminder of the strength and resilience that had guided the village through its journey. Okonkwo, Mama Adaeze, and Chinedu participated in the gathering, sharing their own reflections and insights. They emphasized the importance of honoring traditions while embracing new opportunities, highlighting the balance that had contributed to the village's success. As the village enjoyed its prosperity and growth, the importance of giving back to the community became a central focus. The villagers, grateful for their success and the support they had received, decided to initiate a series of charitable efforts to support those in need. As the new schoolhouse neared completion, excitement grew among the children and their families. The anticipation was palpable as they looked forward to the new opportunities and resources that the expanded facility would bring. The inauguration of the new schoolhouse was marked by a grand ceremony. The event featured speeches, performances, and a ribbon-cutting ceremony. The village celebrated the achievement with pride and gratitude, recognizing the collective effort that had made the project possible. As the village continued to grow and evolve, the role of women in the community became increasingly prominent. Women had always been integral to the village's life, but their contributions and leadership were now being recognized and celebrated more than ever. A series of community workshops and discussions were held to highlight the achievements of women and to explore ways to further support their roles in the village. The workshops focused on empowerment, leadership, and opportunities for women in various fields. Mama Adaeze played a key role in these discussions, sharing her experiences and wisdom. She emphasized the importance of women's voices in shaping the future of the village and the value of their contributions to every aspect of community life. The village celebrated its women with a special event known as the Festival of Women's Achievements. As the village embraced new ideas and explored new horizons, innovation became a driving force in their development. The community recognized the importance of creativity and ingenuity in addressing challenges and seizing opportunities. Chinedu, with his entrepreneurial spirit, led several innovation projects. These included developing new agricultural techniques, creating sustainable energy solutions, and exploring technological advancements that could benefit the village. The village organized innovation fairs and competitions to encourage creativity and problem-solving among the young and old. These events showcased new ideas and inventions, providing a platform for individuals to present their innovative solutions and gain support for their projects. The spirit of innovation extended to various aspects of village life, including education, health, and infrastructure. The community embraced new technologies and practices while maintaining a strong connection to their traditions and values. The successful implementation of innovative projects brought tangible benefits to the village. Improved agricultural practices increased food security, sustainable energy solutions reduced environmental impact, and technological advancements enhanced the quality of life for the villagers. As the village continued to grow and evolve, it became clear that balancing tradition with modernity was essential to their success. The community worked diligently to integrate new practices and technologies while preserving their cultural heritage. The village established a cultural preservation committee tasked with ensuring that traditional values and customs were maintained alongside modern advancements. The committee organized events and activities that celebrated their heritage and educated the younger generation about their roots. At the same time, the village embraced modern practices that enhanced their quality of life. New technologies, educational methods, and healthcare practices were integrated in ways that complemented and enriched their traditional ways of living. The harmony between tradition and modernity was evident in everyday life. Festivals and ceremonies continued to reflect the village's cultural heritage, while modern innovations were seamlessly incorporated into their routines. The village's ability to balance tradition with progress became a source of pride and inspiration. It demonstrated that embracing change while honoring one's roots could lead to a thriving and dynamic community. The role of the elders in the village remained central to guiding and shaping the community. Their wisdom and experience provided valuable insights and perspectives that helped navigate the complexities of modern life. The elders continued to share their stories and lessons with the younger generation. Their teachings encompassed not only traditional values, but also the wisdom gained from adapting to new challenges and opportunities. Okonkwo, Mama Adeze, and other community leaders often sought the counsel of the elders in making important decisions. Their guidance ensured that the village's progress was grounded in a deep understanding of their heritage and values. The elders also played a role in mediating conflicts and fostering unity within the community. Their wisdom and impartiality helped resolve disputes and maintain harmony among the villagers. The respect and reverence for the elders were reflected in various ceremonies and gatherings. The village celebrated their contributions and acknowledged the importance of their role in shaping the future. As the village continued to prosper and evolve, the focus shifted to ensuring that their achievements and values were preserved for future generations. The community recognized the importance of leaving a lasting legacy that would continue to inspire and guide those who followed. A legacy project was initiated to document the history, achievements, and cultural heritage of the village. The project included creating archives, recording oral histories, and compiling stories and traditions. The younger generation was actively involved in the legacy project, learning about their history and contributing to the preservation efforts. The project served as both an educational tool and a way to connect with their roots. Mama Adayezi played a key role in the legacy project, sharing her extensive knowledge and stories with the younger generation. Her contributions helped ensure that the wisdom of the past was passed down and integrated into the village's future. The village's legacy was celebrated with a grand event that highlighted their achievements and the values that had guided them. The event was a reflection of the community's commitment to honoring their past while looking forward to a bright future. As the village continued to thrive and build upon its legacy, the focus turned to celebrating the richness of life and the joy of being part of a vibrant and supportive community. The celebration of life was organized to honor the milestones, achievements, and the everyday moments that brought happiness and fulfillment. The event featured a variety of activities that highlighted the diverse aspects of village life. There were performances, exhibitions, and gatherings that showcased the talents, creativity, and accomplishments of the villagers. The celebration of life also included moments of reflection and gratitude. The community came together to appreciate the journey they had undertaken and to express their thanks for the support and contributions of each individual. The festival was a joyful and uplifting experience, filled with music, dance, and shared laughter. It was a reminder of the beauty of community and the importance of celebrating life's moments, both big and small. As the village looked to the future, the journey of growth and development was far from over. The community understood that progress was an ongoing process, requiring continuous effort, innovation, and adaptation. With their newfound prosperity and the strength of their unity, the villagers were poised to embrace the challenges and opportunities that lay ahead. Okonkwo, Chinedu, and the other leaders began to envision the next phase of their journey. They focused on setting new goals and aspirations that would further enhance the village's well-being and expand its influence. Their vision included plans for environmental sustainability, technological advancements, and deeper cultural exchange. The younger generation, inspired by the achievements of their elders, took on leadership roles and initiated their own projects. They brought fresh perspectives and innovative ideas, contributing to the village's continued growth and evolution. Mama Adazi, ever the storyteller, continued to weave narratives that captured the essence of the village's journey. Her stories inspired and motivated the community, reinforcing the values of perseverance, unity, and respect for tradition. The village embraced the future with optimism and determination. They recognized that while the journey might be challenging, it was also filled with potential and promise. Their collective efforts and shared vision would guide them as they continued to build a thriving and vibrant community. Recognizing the importance of sustainability, the village embarked on an environmental initiative aimed at preserving and protecting their natural surroundings. The initiative was driven by a commitment to maintaining the balance between progress and nature. The community began by implementing eco-friendly practices, such as recycling programs, waste management systems, and sustainable farming techniques. They also focused on reforestation efforts to restore and enhance the local environment. Okonkwo and Chinedu played a key role in promoting the initiative, organizing workshops and educational sessions to raise awareness about environmental conservation. The workshops covered topics such as climate change, resource management, and the importance of biodiversity. The village partnered with environmental organizations and experts to support their efforts. These collaborations provided valuable resources and guidance, helping the community to effectively implement their sustainability practices. The environmental initiative was celebrated with a festival dedicated to nature and conservation. The event featured activities such as tree planting, cleanup drives, and environmental education programs. The festival reinforced the village's commitment to protecting their environment and fostering a harmonious relationship with nature. As technology continued to advance, the village embraced its potential to enhance various aspects of life. The integration of technology into the community's infrastructure and daily routines brought about significant improvements and new opportunities. The village invested in technology to improve education, healthcare, and communication. Modern tools and devices were introduced to support learning in the schoolhouse, provide better medical care, and facilitate connections with the outside world. Chinedu led initiatives to introduce technology in agriculture, such as precision farming and data analytics. These advancements helped optimize crop yields and resource usage, contributing to the village's overall prosperity. The community also explored the benefits of digital platforms for cultural exchange and trade. Online markets and communication tools enabled the village to reach new audiences and expand their economic opportunities. While embracing technology, the village remained mindful of maintaining their cultural values and traditions. They sought to integrate modern tools in a way that complemented and enhanced their existing practices. The village's journey had been marked by many milestones and achievements, and a grand celebration of unity was organized to honor the strength and resilience of the community. The event was a testament to the collective effort and shared vision that had guided them through their journey. The celebration of unity featured a grand parade with vibrant costumes and traditional music showcasing the village's cultural heritage. The parade was followed by performances, exhibitions, and a feast that brought together villagers and guests from neighboring communities. Okonkwo, Mama Adayezi, and Chinedu addressed the gathering, reflecting on the village's accomplishments and expressing gratitude for the support and contributions of each individual. Their speeches highlighted the importance of unity, collaboration, and the shared values that had driven their success. The celebration also included a tribute to the elders and pioneers who had played a crucial role in shaping the village's history. Their contributions were acknowledged and celebrated, reinforcing the importance of honoring the past while looking to the future. The event concluded with a ceremonial lighting of lanterns, symbolizing hope, prosperity, and the enduring spirit of the village. The lanterns were released into the night sky, creating a stunning visual display that represented the bright future and collective aspirations of the community. As the village looked back on their journey and celebrated their achievements, they understood that their story was not just a tale of progress, but a testament to the enduring spirit of community and the legacy they had created. The legacy of the village was reflected in the values they upheld, the advancements they embraced, and the way they balanced tradition with modernity. Their story was one of resilience, innovation, and unity, serving as an inspiration for future generations. The Legacy Project, which had documented the village's history and achievements, became a cherished resource for both the community and visitors. It highlighted the lessons learned, the milestones reached, and the cultural heritage that defined the village. The village continued to thrive, guided by the wisdom of their ancestors and the aspirations of their leaders. Their story was a reminder that while the journey of growth and development might be ongoing, the essence of their community, their values, traditions, and shared dreams, remained steadfast and enduring. As the villagers went to bed each night, they carried with them the knowledge that their story was a living testament to their strength and unity. The tales of their achievements, the lessons learned, and the spirit of their community continued to inspire and guide them as they looked forward to the future. The village's legacy was not just in the physical structures or advancements, but in the hearts and minds of its people. Their journey, marked by triumphs and trials, would continue to be a source of inspiration and a beacon of hope for generations to come. As the village embraced new ideas and explored new horizons, innovation became a driving force in their development. The community recognized the importance of creativity and ingenuity in addressing challenges and seizing opportunities. Chinedu, with his entrepreneurial spirit, led several innovation projects. These included developing new agricultural techniques, creating sustainable energy solutions, and exploring technological advancements that could benefit the village. The village organized innovation fairs and competitions to encourage creativity and problem-solving among the young and old. These events showcased new ideas and inventions, providing a platform for individuals to present their innovative solutions and gain support for their projects. The spirit of innovation extended to various aspects of village life, including education, health, and infrastructure. The community embraced new technologies and practices while maintaining a strong connection to their traditions and values. The successful implementation of innovative projects brought tangible benefits to the village. Improved agricultural practices increased food security, sustainable energy solutions reduced environmental impact, and technological advancements enhanced the quality of life for the villagers. As the village continued to grow and evolve, it became clear that balancing tradition with modernity was essential to their success. The community worked diligently to integrate new practices and technologies while preserving their cultural heritage. The village established a cultural preservation committee tasked with ensuring that traditional values and customs were maintained alongside modern advancements. The committee organized events and activities that celebrated their heritage and educated the younger generation about their roots. At the same time, the village embraced modern practices that enhanced their quality of life. New technologies, educational methods, and healthcare practices were integrated in ways that complemented and enriched their traditional ways of living. The harmony between tradition and modernity was evident in everyday life. Festivals and ceremonies continued to reflect the village's cultural heritage, while modern innovations were seamlessly incorporated into their routines. The village's ability to balance tradition with progress became a source of pride and inspiration. It demonstrated that embracing change while honoring one's roots could lead to a thriving and dynamic community. The role of the elders in the village remained central to guiding and shaping the community. Their wisdom and experience provided valuable insights and perspectives that helped navigate the complexities of modern life. The elders continued to share their stories and lessons with the younger generation. Their teachings encompassed not only traditional values, but also the wisdom gained from adapting to new challenges and opportunities. Okonkwo, Mama Adeze, and other community leaders often sought the counsel of the elders in making important decisions. Their guidance ensured that the village's progress was grounded in a deep understanding of their heritage and values. The elders also played a role in mediating conflicts and fostering unity within the community. Their wisdom and impartiality helped resolve disputes and maintain harmony among the villagers. The respect and reverence for the elders were reflected in various ceremonies and gatherings. The village celebrated their contributions and acknowledged the importance of their role in shaping the future. As the village continued to prosper and evolve, the focus shifted to ensuring that their achievements and values were preserved for future generations. The community recognized the importance of leaving a lasting legacy that would continue to inspire and guide those who followed. A legacy project was initiated to document the history, achievements, and cultural heritage of the village. The project included creating archives, recording oral histories, and compiling stories and traditions. The younger generation was actively involved in the legacy project, learning about their history and contributing to the preservation efforts. The project served as both an educational tool and a way to connect with their roots. Mama Adayezi played a key role in the legacy project, sharing her extensive knowledge and stories with the younger generation. Her contributions helped ensure that the wisdom of the past was passed down and integrated into the village's future. The village's legacy was celebrated with a grand event that highlighted their achievements and the values that had guided them. The event was a reflection of the community's commitment to honoring their past while looking forward to a bright future. As the village continued to thrive and build upon its legacy, the focus turned to celebrating the richness of life and the joy of being part of a vibrant and supportive community. The celebration of life was organized to honor the milestones, achievements, and the everyday moments that brought happiness and fulfillment. The event featured a variety of activities that highlighted the diverse aspects of village life. There were performances, exhibitions, and gatherings that showcased the talents, creativity, and accomplishments of the villagers. The celebration of life also included moments of reflection and gratitude. The community came together to appreciate the journey they had undertaken and to express their thanks for the support and contributions of each individual. The festival was a joyful and uplifting experience, filled with music, dance, and shared laughter. It was a reminder of the beauty of community and the importance of celebrating life's moments, both big and small. As the village looked to the future, the journey of growth and development was far from over. The community understood that progress was an ongoing process, requiring continuous effort, innovation, and adaptation. With their newfound prosperity and the strength of their unity, the villagers were poised to embrace the challenges and opportunities that lay ahead. Okonkwo, Chinedu, and the other leaders began to envision the next phase of their journey. They focused on setting new goals and aspirations that would further enhance the village's well-being and expand its influence. Their vision included plans for environmental sustainability, technological advancements, and deeper cultural exchange. The younger generation, inspired by the achievements of their elders, took on leadership roles and initiated their own projects. They brought fresh perspectives and innovative ideas, contributing to the village's continued growth and evolution. Mama Adazi, ever the storyteller, continued to weave narratives that captured the essence of the village's journey. Her stories inspired and motivated the community, reinforcing the values of perseverance, unity, and respect for tradition. The village embraced the future with optimism and determination. They recognized that while the journey might be challenging, it was also filled with potential and promise. Their collective efforts and shared vision would guide them as they continued to build a thriving and vibrant community. Recognizing the importance of sustainability, the village embarked on an environmental initiative aimed at preserving and protecting their natural surroundings. The initiative was driven by a commitment to maintaining the balance between progress and nature. The community began by implementing eco-friendly practices, such as recycling programs, waste management systems, and sustainable farming techniques. They also focused on reforestation efforts to restore and enhance the local environment. Okonkwo and Chinedu played a key role in promoting the initiative, organizing workshops and educational sessions to raise awareness about environmental conservation. The workshops covered topics such as climate change, resource management, and the importance of biodiversity. The village partnered with environmental organizations and experts to support their efforts. These collaborations provided valuable resources and guidance, helping the community to effectively implement their sustainability practices. The environmental initiative was celebrated with a festival dedicated to nature and conservation. The event featured activities such as tree planting, cleanup drives, and environmental education programs. The festival reinforced the village's commitment to protecting their environment and fostering a harmonious relationship with nature. As technology continued to advance, the village embraced its potential to enhance various aspects of life. The integration of technology into the community's infrastructure and daily routines brought about significant improvements and new opportunities. The village invested in technology to improve education, healthcare, and communication. Modern tools and devices were introduced to support learning in the schoolhouse, provide better medical care, and facilitate connections with the outside world. Chinedu led initiatives to introduce technology in agriculture, such as precision farming and data analytics. These advancements helped optimize crop yields and resource usage, contributing to the village's overall prosperity. The community also explored the benefits of digital platforms for cultural exchange and trade. Online markets and communication tools enabled the village to reach new audiences and expand their economic opportunities. While embracing technology, the village remained mindful of maintaining their cultural values and traditions. They sought to integrate modern tools in a way that complemented and enhanced their existing practices. The village's journey had been marked by many milestones and achievements, and a grand celebration of unity was organized to honor the strength and resilience of the community. The event was a testament to the collective effort and shared vision that had guided them through their journey. The celebration of unity featured a grand parade, with vibrant costumes and traditional music showcasing the village's cultural heritage. The parade was followed by performances, exhibitions, and a feast that brought together villagers and guests from neighboring communities. Okonkwo, Mama Adayezi, and Chinedu addressed the gathering, reflecting on the village's accomplishments and expressing gratitude for the support and contributions of each individual. Their speeches highlighted the importance of unity, collaboration, and the shared values that had driven their success. The celebration also included a tribute to the elders and pioneers who had played a crucial role in shaping the village's history. Their contributions were acknowledged and celebrated, reinforcing the importance of honoring the past while looking to the future. The event concluded with a ceremonial lighting of lanterns, symbolizing hope, prosperity, and the enduring spirit of the village. The lanterns were released into the night sky, creating a stunning visual display that represented the bright future and collective aspirations of the community. As the village looked back on their journey and celebrated their achievements, they understood that their story was not just a tale of progress, but a testament to the enduring spirit of community and the legacy they had created. The legacy of the village was reflected in the values they upheld, the advancements they embraced, and the way they balanced tradition with modernity. Their story was one of resilience, innovation, and unity, serving as an inspiration for future generations. The Legacy Project, which had documented the village's history and achievements, became a cherished resource for both the community and visitors. It highlighted the lessons learned, the milestones reached, and the cultural heritage that defined the village. The village continued to thrive, guided by the wisdom of their ancestors and the aspirations of their leaders. Their story was a reminder that while the journey of growth and development might be ongoing, the essence of their community, their values, traditions, and shared dreams, remained steadfast and enduring. As the villagers went to bed each night, they carried with them the knowledge that their story was a living testament to their strength and unity. The tales of their achievements, the lessons learned, and the spirit of their community continued to inspire and guide them as they looked forward to the future. The village's legacy was not just in the physical structures or advancements, but in the hearts and minds of its people. Their journey, marked by triumphs and trials, would continue to be a source of inspiration and a beacon of hope for generations to come.